Stop saying the N-word.
X gonna give it to you.
No, I just told you you can't use that one. That one is like anything by DMX is like notorious for having the N-word in it.
I forgot.
Also, you know who else uses the N-word a lot?
Who's that?
Queen Elizabeth. Like all the time, I hear. This is what I'm told.
Dude, when she's running through the halls that have all her blood vials, you know, she's just like, is that an, is that a
N-word
is
blood?
that a blood? I tried to turn it off. I hope I did.
No, we heard it. We heard you.
Heard it totally.
We heard you say retard blood. Retard blood. That's like what you got to worry about, right? Because it's got
oh, dude, yeah,
extra chromosomes, right?
Yeah, you don't want those extra chromosomes lying around.
How many chromosomes do you have, bro? More than you, right?
I got so many I can't count. Anyway, dude, all right. So this is one of the I don't think I'm using it.
To the whoopsies? Oh.
Well, I was gonna say I'm not gonna use it. You know, I almost want to send it to you so you could see what I'm talking about here.
Just text it.
Can I? Well, it's on my. I'm gonna just send it in the chat.
You know, I don't know how to check the chat while we're live.
So look at the.
See, I gotta click on the thing now.
No!
No, remember you can do that. Like you can pull up the screen and share your screen, so everybody can see it, right?
I think when I tried that, it didn't work.
No, it did work. Just close out of all your tentacle porn.
Oh, all right, that's fine. All right, let's see. Share screen.
If I have to, I'll finagle your screen until it's situated properly.
Are you seeing it?
Whoopsie daisy. Let me. Yeah, I see that right there.
Oh, okay. See, look. Tell me that's not extra chromosome cop.
You know, pull up the. What's the story here? What is this?
Police officer and wife allegedly stole $99,000 in union funds for personal use.
Okay.
And I thought, dude, to myself, how fucking retarded does their... Well, no, but this... Okay, yes, right? I just said this is extra chromosome cop, right? So, like, there's RoboCop, there's...
Officer Chromosome reporting for duty.
Officer Chromosome reporting for apples. So, but here's the thing, right? Look at him. This guy. I mean, forget her for a second.
Has Down syndrome. At least,
but
like,
this,
you know.
Dude, this is what I'm getting at. This guy, and okay, either you're going to tell me that his wife, complete brains of the operation, right? And brawn, from what it seems like.
Yeah, sure.
But
she does look brawny.
Yeah, but either she has all the brains, okay, or this fucking retard is the smartest retard on the Kansas City, Missouri, whoever this is. You know what I'm saying? St. Joseph Police Department, Fraternal Order of Police, Northwest Missouri, Lodge 3. Like, dude, you know?
You know, I find it interesting. You point out this retarded cop, Officer Chromosome. There was also, if you recall, recently in the news... maybe you can pull it up. It was like a prison or a jail deputy who helped a guy escape from jail. And
oh, you talking about? Oh, what are their names? The Whites?
Yeah, they were.
Is that it?
They had the same last name.
Yeah, it was.
But they were not related, supposedly.
Escapes. Yeah, dude, I watched a video on them. Yeah, these ones. There we go. There we are.
Yeah, like pull up on her face. Can you do that?
Let's see. Can I get it? Well, that's a better one.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like, tell me that she's not a little bit retarded, right?
Oh, dude, you have the... This is not like full cleft lip up here, but that's bad.
No, it's
right?
like it was trying to be. Have you ever seen Mr. Pickles? Remember that show, Mr. Pickles? And the sheriff? Remember the sheriff?
Yeah. Oh, why the fuck?
That's what he has. That's
Mr. Pickles?
Yeah, sheriff.
Sheriff? Might be misspelling that, but
yeah, you
it's
put
all
too
right.
many R's, but it's okay. But like, look at some of his.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing.
Oh yeah, that is totally. Yes, that is definitely the
Now
same.
pull her back up and do a compare and contrast. See, it's the same guy, right?
Yeah, it's
But
actually a mix of these two. Look at these two, and then they fucked, and years later, here's this guy.
oh, it's me, it's
Y-
Sheriff. It's the Sheriff,
Dude, but like,
Mr.
literally,
Pickles.
look at this guy, right? Look at the guy on the left, and you got the nose,
Who
and
does he
then
look
her.
like? He looks like somebody too, right? Except for his ears.
Yeah, he
His
does.
ears look like satellite dishes. It looks like It looks like his
Dude.
ears could have been
Yeah.
used for SETI or search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Like those should have been the satellites that we were using.
Dude, his ears should have heard him getting shot in the future. You know what I mean?
He should have heard the police coming from across
Right.
the state lines.
He should have known it wouldn't have worked. Yeah, exactly. He should have known. He should have heard them coming.
Ears so big that he can tell the future.
Yeah.
But tell me,
Dude,
she
have you
doesn't
seen
look-
Joe do you know Joe Namath, by the way?
I don't know.
The football. Okay, hold on. All right, keep talking while I.
But she kind of looks like a slow person, right? And now here's my argument, or here's where I was going with that, right?
Yeah.
I used to work. I was a corrections officer briefly. Oh yeah, he's got some ears on him. His ears
Yes, he
look
does.
like his
Look at
ears
this
look
guy.
like at some point he started melting, and then he really quick cooled off. Like he really quick got into the
Yeah.
shade or whatever, right?
Yeah, they fixed him, but they couldn't save his ears.
Yeah, it was too
You
late.
know?
I mean, well, they were the furthest thing from his.
Oh, look at this.
So,
Dude, he used to be a sex symbol. I want to throw that out there just to, I mean, look at him. Look at this guy.
yeah, he was.
Are you wearing jackets like this?
No. Well, I never said that I was like competing with him. I was just talking shit about his ears, right?
Off air,
Like,
you did, though.
You can do that.
I mean, off air.
Off air, I would never say anything like that. But here, check this out. So I was, I was for a while. I was a corrections officer, and I saw some of the, and I wasn't like working in the Department of Corrections, right? I was a
Yeah.
a
Do you want me to
deputy
stop sharing, by the way?
Oh, you can.
Do you want to go back?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can. Switch. I guess I could switch to my face so people can see me lying over here. So the
Okay, you're back, but somehow I don't see your screen anymore.
I wonder
Just
if
so
I
you
can
know.
share my screen to you again. Start sharing. Let me know if that works.
I can share my screen to you again. Yes.
I was a deputy jailer. All right, so it was a county
Mm-hmm.
jail, and the people. So here, and if you go to like be a sheriff's deputy, or if you want to go be a police officer, like real cops or whatever, you have to go through the academy and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
here in this, well, if you want to go work as a deputy jailer, you don't have to. You can just like if you've graduated high school or have a GED or equivalent, or like if you just show up and you're wearing clothes that day, like it doesn't take much to apply. Like as long as you have a clean background, you pass like a physical endurance thing or whatever. That's it. And it's not like a very strenuous.
So how many
physical.
times did you have to hump the air? Like how many minutes
Not
for your
maybe
endurance?
Like, I think it was like 90 seconds. It was so like a minute. And a half. But no, it was literally you had to like go and it was just like a standard like work test. Well, like can you lift certain amount of weight, walk it across the room, set it down, and then they like monitor your breathing and your heart rate and shit. But the people, just like regular cops, right? Just like regular cops, once you do the initial entry stuff, they never expect you to do it ever again. So you have like these cops that are like super fat, right? But the thing is with
Dude, I live across the street from a firehouse. Believe me.
But yeah, you get it then. Our chief that we used to have here at the fire department that I worked at, he used to make them do PT tests every year.
Really?
So they had to stay in shape. Yeah, they would actually have to go, and it was part of like the day. You had to go and exercise for an hour as a team.
That 1 hour a year.
Yeah, well, 1 hour every 3 days because you were on for 24 hours.
Oh, actually do it. Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Wow, okay.
Yeah, but then you'd have to do the PT test every year. And I don't remember what was on the PT. It was like basically like an army PT test, push-ups, sit-ups, and the 2-mile run. Or a mile and a half.
And big dumps.
Probably. Yeah, and probably that too. But they...
Push-ups, sit-ups, big dumps.
But they... So once you do that with the deputy jailer gig... You never have to do anything ever again. And there would be like some really fat deputy jailers. And they were all so out of shape. They would like, they would beg for, and you could tell like the ones that were really out of shape because they would beg for the positions like booking, so
Sitting
they would
down
sit behind a desk, yeah, and control, and there were other jobs that you'd sit on your ass or whatever, and you wouldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like all these goofballs that worked there, it was never like, you know, I met a couple guys who actually went on to become police officers. They were just doing it because you need, you know, I don't know, like 2 years of law enforcement experience, and they were waiting from when they were 18. You couldn't become a cop until you were 21 anyways, so they would join the jail
because they need you. You have to be able to drink to do it,
right? Yeah, so you can go beat your wife or whatever. So these dudes, like some of them were like they were just using it as a stepping stone. Some of them though, they were there for the long haul, and they showed it because they were just morbidly obese, disgusting. Most of them looked like that chick that we were just laughing about. And I wanted to, like, when I saw her, I was like, what kind of department hired her on, or like what kind of idiots were in charge of the hiring process that allowed her on? But then I remembered back to when I started working at the jail, and I was like, I looked around at the jail, and I'm like, who hired any of these idiots on? Like, they
can I throw a little curveball just in your thesis? And listen, I am all for shit talking that woman. It's insane. Like, dude, she went with fucking white trash Dumbo, right? And risked her whole. Obviously, she died.
Yeah, well,
you know.
Yeah, she risked everything.
She risked everything. She sold her house, bought a couple of cars on the road to try to keep going. And again, which is crazy because you would just consider, you know, he'd be able to hear who is coming. Why would you change cars? Long and the short of it, though, is she was retiring, like that day or that week or something. Like she was done, all done. So I don't know. Maybe you do, and I know it might be different for different states or something, but I think she was there for like at least 20 years. And my point in saying that is, she's always looked retarded, but maybe not that fat and retarded.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Like,
what do you think? Can we look up? Like,
I'm not
young,
trying.
Can we look her up when she was young?
Oh, what was her name again? Yeah, let's see. White. Oh, okay, white. Let's see. Dang it. Jail.
Look up hot young. Whatever.
I can't wait to find out what that's up. Oh God. Could you imagine?
No, yes or no?
Do you want to know something? And this is probably going to make you, if anything's going to make you feel bad, I have one thing. She apparently got divorced very early on in her relationship or something like that, but then the guy ended up with like some terminal cancer or something. And long and the short of it is in spite of the fact that they were divorced, she took care of him for his entire life as his health deteriorated. He died, and then within a year of that or something, she did this. So like her husband, non-husband, that she took care of, her as his health completely fell apart, dies, and within, I don't know, year or something, she gets with this guy, makes a break for it, sells her house, gets rid of all her possessions. They flip the vehicle, and she's dead.
Okay, so Jerry, I'm going to run this by you again, and I want you to hear it from my mouth, and then I want you to answer the question that I have prepared.
Okay.
She spent 20 years in a police department or a sheriff's department, and on the eve of her retirement, essentially, or I'm sorry, prior to this, she was married, got divorced like immediately, and her ex-husband was slowly dying, and she opted to take care of him rather than like kind of like washing her hands of it and going and living her own life. And I don't know the circumstances around their divorce, but I can't imagine. It would have to be something pretty serious for me to like marry somebody and within I don't know how many months, you know, like 6 months, a year, whatever, and then feel compelled to go and help them. I'll be like, I'll tell you what, I'll take your your savings and I'll put you in a home, right? Like I'm happy to do that for you, woman I've known for like a year and a half. But she stuck around and she like took care of him, presumably with her own money, right? That she was earning from the sheriff's department or from disability, judging by her looks. But then on the eve of her retirement,
or both.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? So maybe she was like triple dipping. And that's why she didn't need to retire, you know. But on the eve of her retirement, she gets this guy with huge, not a good looker. I mean, he was relatively handsome, I suppose, except less the ears. You know,
big ears.
She could probably make him wear earmuffs or something. She like put on these prosthetic ears or whatever.
When
they're making love. I don't know. Somebody with the same last name as her in Alabama, as I recall, was where this whole thing started. So they're probably related, and it's probably
Could you also?
Okay.
I also want to throw this out there. She was. I don't know if it was the day she was dead, but she was apparently caught wearing a wig in the Indiana hotel before the chase ensued, and I have that picture with a. I have that picture with a topless picture of the guy. I don't know why. I don't know why they decided to do that. She's putting more
on. He's taking more off. It's an even trade.
Oh yeah.
Can we do that? Can we see that?
Yeah. Here it is.
Oh, wow. He's got some. Wow.
There it is.
Mess. What a mess, Jerry.
Now is that? Am I right in that this is an SS?
It's what it
is that what that is?
Yeah.
So that's SS, and then this is the bent dildo, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's a horseshoe.
It's a horseshoe dildo.
You know, country girls make do, is what they say. But look at her. That's where I want to focus my attention, to the retarded.
Dude, this is an actual upgrade. Can I say that, by the way?
You think so? At least she's got her mouth closed a little bit more. Do you think he was like, close your mouth?
Oh, you know what? The face is blurry. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
It could be.
This is not a clear picture. You know what I mean?
You know what bothers me the most, Jerry? Is like she got a wig, right? She got a wig, and the wig that she chose had bangs.
It's still, yeah.
You would think she would have like done something else. It's the same haircut, except for it's
it's
brown.
like you might as well have just dyed your hair. That's it.
Yeah, but she went out and she spent who knows how much on that, because that looks like a pretty good quality wig.
I was gonna say, can I say her hair here looks better than her bleach blonde nasty shit that she had going on?
And that may be her natural hair color, the original blonde, the dirty blonde.
Oh yeah, because we have the eyebrows to show it, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. But look at her here. She looks like she's. She just looks a mess. But here's my question to you, Jerry. After crashing her truck, after going on this cross-country road trip for this weirdo on the left with the man boobs, I mean, he's not even got a whole lot going on. You know, when he takes his shirt off, you realize just how little he has going on. Even more so before when we saw him before. And
I'm telling
he's
you,
just a criminal. Now we know he's a a flabby, disgusting, aging
dude. I'm telling you.
Right?
She said to him, "Do the ears match the drapes?"
Does the carpet match the ears?
Yeah, right, or whatever, whichever.
Do the ears match the drapes? He's like, yeah, I guess.
I think so. They're big. Yeah, they're big and loby. Could you imagine? Could you imagine saying to someone, "Yes, my dick is loby"?
That's a term that I have not used when referencing that, but
I don't even know if it's an actual word. Actually,
it is like a lobe. It's the adjective form of lobes, right?
It's lobe.
Like if it has the appearance of a lobe, it is therefore loby.
I want to find that. Hold on. Urban Dictionary.
Are you gonna do it?
I'm looking. Loby.
Lobey. Yeah, would probably be the best.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Loby.
Loby is here, and that is when a person is drunk, they say "loby" when they mean love. Oh, what?
Yeah,
I've never
heard it, but I loby you. I loby.
Oh, I
loby. Yeah.
I loby you when you touch me down there.
I've never heard
That's what it says.
I've
never heard of that.
One person who has a slow friend from.
Dude,
here. Like English as a second language.
Here we go, Tom. I think this is one we're going to have to go with. Lobie. Armenians, for some reason, straight up Armenians, use the word loby when they refer to low-ass class Mexicans.
Why Armenians? Where's the beef between the Armenians and the Mexicans?
Where is the intersection Is it like one street in Los Angeles?
It's one neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
It's little Armenia. There's no such
Yeah,
thing, right?
dude. It's
Little
like
Turkey.
on one street next to another, you know? Little
Little,
Armenia.
yeah, it'd be little Western Turkey, right?
Yeah.
And it's
These are
just
the
the Armenian neighborhood.
Here's the description. I forgot I'm sharing the screen, so I hope this isn't too bad. These are the types of Mexicans that work 24 hours a day and have no clue about how much they're working for. They also are the type of people that you can speak English to them and they just smile and they say, "Me name Carlos." You can spot a lobby. I mean, smell a lobby a mile away. Dude, I feel like this Heiko who put it in is the Armenian. That's it. Like, he has a bunch of friends and they just all talk shit about people in their neighborhood.
Yeah, it's just like I'm saying, it's one neighborhood. It's little little Western Turkey. I don't know where the Armenians live, but
yeah. Anyway, let's go back to these lovers. Yeah. So, welcome to You Had Me at Bigfoot from 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. who's yeah, we're back to our old.
We're going back in time to the whites.
But here's my question though for you, Jerry.
Oh yeah,
and then
please.
And then she crashes the truck.
Because typical woman driver, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've seen a lot of truck crashing in recent days, right? Or in recent weeks, yeah, especially with the situation that I'm sure is going to come up in whatever the whoobies. But so my question to you is,
I'm actively avoiding
talking about that.
Well, I don't know which one you're talking about.
Well, we'll get there.
But
so
if it's newsworthy, if it is national newsworthy, I've tried to avoid that so it could be isolated from. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. All right. Well, maybe I'll talk.
I mean, we could talk about it otherwise. No, I mean, we could talk about it.
You know what? It's gone. It's over. We're past that. We got to move on. But here's my question, Jerry. These things, all these things that we have listed, we've not listed one thing about her that is redeeming. Would you say that these things that she has done are all things that, best exemplify things that a retard would do? Or do you think that would be something that like a normal functioning person would do, right? Like so yeah. when we call her retarded, or maybe make the allegation that she could be retarded, and then you look at her history of things that she has done in life, every single thing that she has done in life are things that a retarded person would do. So I don't feel like we're far off base when we call her that. I mean, there might be some bleeding hearts or whatever who will be upset that we're using that word, but I think that's a word that best describes a woman who
did you know, Tom, I don't know if you know this, and this is for everybody listening and viewing.
Are you going to switch it back to your screen, or are you going to leave it on these two?
Oh no, here, I'll switch it back to you. I thought it was good for reference while we were talking. Because I was just about to say to you about, if you looked at her picture, you could tell that her face looked like one eye's here and another one is sloth-like down here.
Yeah, she had like almost Forrest Whitaker eyes. She had her own thing going on.
Right, and then her nose, her bridge was here, but the actual nose was over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then her, of course, this.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
and then,
hey there, Mr. Pickles.
Oh, hi, Mr. Pickles. I'm here to take this inmate with flabby tits.
Mama called me sheriff. I was just days from retiring. Anyway. That's what they call it when retards retire. Have you ever been to a retarded person's graduation, or I'm sorry, like retirement ceremony, Jerry? Have you ever seen such a thing?
Well, Tom, no. I'll tell you what. Statistically, that doesn't happen. Do you know why?
No, I want to know why, Jerry.
Okay, because it's the same. Oh God, I don't want to get us canceled.
Do it.
Oh
Jerry.
no.
I'm prepared.
Okay. All right. Look, it's a scam. You want to hear the scam?
Retarded people are scams?
Well, retarded people, it's a scam.
That's the real conspiracy, Jerry, is there's no such thing as retarded people.
There's no such thing as retarded people. By the way, like totally separate, but I'm 99% sure I saw a midget in my neighborhood, and I haven't seen them since, so it just makes me think they walked for a while and disappeared.
They very well might have. They started out at 6 foot tall.
But dude, they had a really big dog next to them
for a long time. Well, maybe it was just a regular sized dog.
I was gonna say it's a regular dog, probably, right? Okay, but look, all right. Here's ready for this. So
I've been ready. Yep.
So okay, black people.
Oh, Jerry.
No. Hold on. Look. Okay. Do you know what the average age, life expectancy of a black male is?
It's 53.
Right. It's like in the 50s, right?
Is that right? I was just 11.
Yeah. No, it's way below.
Yeah, it's far lower than it should be, right?
Social Security. Well, not only that, but it's also way below, or maybe let's say it's even 60. Okay.
Okay.
Admittedly, some of that is going to be skewed because of, let's say, the Chicagos of the world.
Sure. Are we talking about the world, or are we talking about in America?
I'm sorry, America, first of all. I should have said America, excuse me. Sure. So, the Chicagos of America.
If we go worldwide, it's like 30, right?
I was going to say, no, it actually gets better. They're just like hanging out. Well,
they all band together at that point.
Dude, you figure
the numbers are so great that it works itself out.
Well, Tom, when you think of how many, depending on what you consider black or dark skinned or even African, dare I say, how many are in Europe as Ukrainians or other political refugees and things? Remember when it was like, oh, this thing was happening, all the women and children have to come to Europe, and then it was just nothing but fighting aged men from like really poor African countries. Do you remember that? Anyway.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Like,
so anyway,
getting, like sunk out in the middle of the ocean, like people.
Yeah.
Sinking them. Good
yeah,
times.
They were like, what the fuck? Yeah. So in America, the average age is like 60. Now, of course, because that's an average for those fucking retards who don't know how to do math. Because
come on, we don't use that word here.
Liberal.
Yes.
So,
please, Jerry.
So I'm trying to eat anyway.
Have some decency, man. There's women present.
So is there? Steph's here?
No, she's not here yet. But Megan's watching, so maybe she's hearing it.
Oh, okay. We'll see. Mike in Manitoba gets it. Probably 16 in Chicago.
I so wanted to do that joke because I saw him type that. That's pretty spot on. Yeah, probably 16 in Chicago. But
by the way, everybody, while the rest of the world is talking about certain other usages of weaponry over the past week, 51 people got shot and killed in Chicago for like over 3 days or something.
Well, it was Memorial Day. They were just trying to join their countrymen.
Right.
Who made the ultimate sacrifice.
They're very patriotic out there. Yeah. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is if you say, okay, well, the average age is 60, and then you assume, which we know what we get for assuming.
Oh, the right answer,
that
usually.
For a period of time, the black men population are contributing to Social Security, federal, state taxes, things like that, right? Because for every like young blood killed, there's like the old black guy who's 70, right? So, okay. The point I'm trying to make is that on average, black people are not going to live long enough to see the social benefits that they paid into for as long as they live.
I would be curious to know, Jerry, what the
do you see what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but I would be curious to say what is the unemployment rate in the black demographic, and how does that contribute? I don't know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Because you could say that every young black man who is killed, many of them, and this is true of white people, but I think we have the numbers to kind of sort that out. But like unemployment is rampant in the black community, right? And more so than probably the white community. Yeah, well, I'm a racist. Right? That's why it says in my thing, racist in a galaxy far, far away. Which has to do with the new Obi-Wan show, which I hope we get a chance to talk about.
Oh my god, dude. I don't even... Okay.
So, in fact, we can segue into that if we want to be racist real quick.
Sure.
If I can point something out real quick, because it's not racism. We're not going to do racism here. As you know...
by the way, is your answer? Mm-hmm. Right now... In 2021, of course, that's all we have. They were up 8 point. Oh no, they're up slightly down to 8.6%.
So a little
which
bit
of course,
I think it balances out, in my
yeah,
opinion.
because the year before it was 11.4. It's been as high in the last decade. It's been as high as like 15, 18%.
Yeah. Well, I would be
What I'm
curious to
looking at
know
here.
what you would have to run the average of probably, I don't know, 20 years just to be fair. For
Oh
all the
yeah.
numbers, how many, the ages as they die, how many make it to Social Security, how many actually contributed,
Oh,
and then,
gotcha. Yeah.
those sorts of numbers. And you have to wonder, like, well, you could be like, well, black people are really doing us a favor by contributing to black on black crime and murdering themselves or dying at an early, younger,
What?
like, no, hear me out, hear me out.
Oh, like you're
They're
right.
really
Oh, I
doing
get
us a
it.
favor because they're contributing to Social Security, and then they don't even make it to that age, right? But in
Right, right.
reality, are they contributing to Social Security in like any meaningful way to where we can make that sort of
I mean,
comment,
technically
right?
speaking, if you sort of put it like that, let's look at it this way, right?
Uh-huh.
And people always get mad, and I'm sure our guest from last week is going to have a hemorrhage hearing me say this.
Oh, he doesn't watch the show.
Oh, he doesn't watch the show?
No.
Oh, dang. Well, all right. If in the ether, one of the lesser gods tortures him with this fact. No, and I'm making fun. I had a good conversation. I'm just making jokes. I hope he doesn't hear this and actually think I'm serious. But anyway.
How dare you make fun of Dave Outlandish? That's my job. I'm allowed to make fun of Dave Outlandish, and only in private messages with him.
Right. Well, all right. So if it weren't for the rich, as much as they do sneak around tax, they don't pay their fair share, whatever. The truth of the matter is, were it not for the upper, let's say, 25%,
Sure,
there would basically be nearly no funding because the rest of us are so poor and the social benefits are so exorbitant that you couldn't actually pay for everything. Like, you can't pay for the world's police, as well as like every social benefit under the sun on the backs of people making $10 an hour at Starbucks. So my point in saying that is, while we all bitch about how the rich and the corporations and the blah, blah, blah don't pay their whatever, at the same time, we're all so poor that we can't actually afford to pay into the whatever. And therefore, if you were looking at it from the same argument perspective on the black community, there's probably no chance in hell that they pay their fair share, especially dying early, because we
miss out on all that black labor, Jerry.
Right? Yeah.
All those
I mean,
years.
if we don't, yeah, exactly. But anyway, the whole point I brought it up was there is no such thing as a retard's retirement because they all die so young. There's no
some old retards, Jerry. Do you think maybe they only work like half since their brains only function at a certain percent? Maybe they only
How would I put that into Google, by the way? Like, if I was to try to... Or not Google, excuse me. I use Ecosia. Thank you.
Is that your new thing since DuckDuckGo?
That's my new thing. That's my new thing. Oh, dude, did you hear the new thing that DuckDuckGo was actually tracking people?
Yeah. Well, I never trusted them. That's why I just went with Google the whole time, because I'm like, well, if they're gonna, at least I know Google's tracking me and selling my data. Like, I'm not gonna go to somebody who's lying about it. Google has made no effort to do that. Let's move on, Jerry. Don't worry about the retards graduating. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to do it on your own time, feel free. This can be.
Dude, there's something that literally says life expectancy of profoundly handicapped people with mental retardation. It's right here.
Yeah, what is it?
How do I not? All right, sorry. I'm scrolling.
What is the age? Yeah. Oh, you don't even have the age. So you were bragging about it, and you didn't even have anything.
I'm just saying the title's incredible. How could I not? I don't even know. Let's see. Life table for
1,500 years. They're like, that's why we have goblins and wizards and stuff, is they're all retarded.
Let's see. So it seems there was almost, hold on. There was almost no one at 60 plus.
So,
like, almost no one. So most of them, of course, they took a large number, and most of them were from the birth age. And then they had a decent number in the middle of, like, say, like the 15 to 40. And then after 44, the numbers drop off to single digits who were participating in the study. So if you were to try to like average that out, I guess.
Jerry, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pull up the same exact table, but for black people.
I don't have that one. I'm not typing that in.
Would you say it's probably comparable, right? Like if because you said, at birth, right? And that's a big one, right? We know that Planned Parenthood takes out a big chunk of black people. We know quite a bit of them wipe out, between 15 and 40, especially in the inner city, in that crime sort of stuff.
I mean, we can't make the joke about Chicago and then not admit it, right? Right. I mean, that just has to be
fact, right? And then we've already determined, based off of information that you provided earlier, you said 53 was kind of, in the 50s, maybe high 50s.
Yeah, I think it was the 50s,
So we're still kind of at that. If you take that number and say it's 100 or whatever it was, you're still looking at similar numbers between black people and the mentally handicapped of like life expectancy. And so it makes me wonder, how many times have I seen a black man retire? I mean, I've not. Right. Like I've talked to in the Army. It was different because that was kind of like, everybody was very.
Well, you guys are cannon fodder.
Right. Right. So everybody is equally as likely to die early. Right.
Except for the South Park Army, where there was Operation Get Behind the Dark.
Yeah, that was old stuff. Like now they don't do that so much anymore. At least not vocally, like out loud. They kind of encourage black people and Puerto Ricans to join the infantry, and that's how they do it. It's the same idea, but it's become like that's the thing is like and
it's
truth
a little
be told,
taboo.
Truth be told, infantry you only have to score 31 on the ASVAB, and historically. Black people.
Oh, is that like an IQ thing?
Yeah, black people from poor communities tend to do worse on aptitude tests. So it just kind of works out that way. And then English as a second language speakers, so foreigners, people who are of other heritages who live in certain the Hmong folks. I always had the hardest time trying to put Hmongs in the army because they just fucking they were not smart people. But yeah, I would every once in a while.
Really?
All the black people I ever put in the army all went infantry. Now, I mean, it wasn't like I didn't choose for them. I was like, hey, go take the test, and whatever you get, we'll pick a job for you. And the only thing that really ever populated was like combat arms. But anyways, so speaking of racism, in a galaxy far, far away, the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show came out, and I watched it. And here's my thing: I got into it with V the other day because he was very angry at what happened with Doctor Strange and how it became Wanda. And
it was Wanda's movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was
America Chavez.
He was so mad about how that played out and how they kind of like screwed Doctor Strange. And I was like, well, yeah. I mean, it's a Marvel movie, the Marvel Cinematic Universe after Endgame. I mean, all these movies are going to be very like, they're not for us.
They're all female centric. They're not for, exactly. They've actually told us it's not for us.
Yeah, it's not for us anymore. So, I mean, like, you can be mad about it, and that's fine. And I respect that because I would be pissed too if, like, my character.
Well, the thing is, that's the movie you would.
It was something.
Well, that's the thing is that's the movie that you expect. Okay, first of all, they fuck with you slightly, in that
they put his name at the top.
Well, yeah. That's the first obvious thing, right? Like it's literally a Doctor Strange movie, and then secondly, he was in the Spider-Man movie, which was, as far as Marvel goes, even though it wasn't Disney Marvel, it was about the most straightforward comic book movie that Marvel's put out since Endgame. You know, like there wasn't really the garbage. I'll keep it at that. So for that association, and then the fact that it was like, his name, like he's literally one of the few who was kind of a bigger part of the last and never had his own sequel and stuff. You figure like, oh, this is gonna have to be about him. And the other thing is too, there was no villain to carry over kind of thing. Like no one remembered Dormammu and
Dormammu. Dormammu, like, come to bargain.
Yeah, which I thought was, by the way, the best ending to a Marvel movie. In that it was the anti-Marvel ending. He didn't fight really. He used his brains. You know what I mean? He used magic and trickery. And he didn't fight anything. He kept getting he got murdered like 1,000 times, and then they got bored and he left. Like, that was, how cool is that, right? Especially for such a egotistical guy to die that many times, to have to die. So I thought that was the best, even though the actual movie, character-wise and stuff, wasn't that great. Anyway, yeah, it's infuriating, and I've wanted to go see the movie, but everything I've heard about it is basically that it was Wanda's. And I've heard a lot about, and I haven't bothered to watch the Obi-Wan show because I've heard
all the things. So let me tell you this, Jerry. I know that you're not crazy about the prequels, and I have come clean. I have admitted this loudly and proudly. I am a fan of the prequels. I really did enjoy them. I enjoyed them better than the originals. I grew up on the originals, right? Like, my dad made me watch them when I was a kid, and I came to love Star Wars because of them. And then the prequels came out. I was just starting high school when Phantom Menace came out. So I was in 9th grade.
Me too.
About to start, yeah. So, like,
or no, I was graduating.
That can't be right.
Something like that.
I was gonna say you're a little bit older than me, right?
Yeah, I graduated, I was graduating, something like that.
So that summer, man, I was collecting all the Pepsi cans, like all the Mountain Dew, all the Pepsi, all the Diet Pepsi.
Oh, sure,
getting all the different characters so that I could collect them and shit. And I did. I collected the whole. Well, I mean, I missed out on a couple of them because they were like hidden, like the fucking golden ticket or whatever in Willy Wonka. But you couldn't get some of them. But I had most of them, and I was so proud of my collection. And I loved Star Wars, and Phantom Menace didn't let me down. I was young enough to where it didn't let me down. Attack of the Clones, I think I was in 11th grade when that came out or whatever. And so, I still wasn't let down, or about to start my senior year. It might have been the end of my junior year. But anyways, I loved Star Wars, and the prequels were kind of like my coming of age movies, right? So people talk shit about the prequels, and I get it. Like, it's not like the original series. It's not. And then, I've only watched The Force Awakens, so I have no like way to measure it, but I wasn't impressed by The Force Awakens.
I have to admit, I don't know which one was. Like, I have a distaste for both of them, and I'm not sure which one bothers me more. I have to admit.
The prequels?
Right, the prequels or the newquels.
Oh, the sequels.
Or whatever, the new. I really don't.
Yeah, I didn't watch. Yeah. I only watched The Force Awakens. So the ones with the black guy and then Rey, the girl.
Oh, yeah.
The fully, like, diverse character or cast. Anyways. So I love the prequel trilogy. I thought it was...
Yeah, by the way, the one that they tried to say, it's always the fans who are the problem, but Disney is the one who literally took John Boyega on the America poster and shrunk him down to this for the Asian one.
Yeah, for the China. Yeah. Well, they're afraid they can't do certain things, like they can't do the gay kissing shit that they're like pushing in our face here in America. They take it all out for the Chinese one because they don't want to offend their owners. But so I was very, very excited about Obi-Wan coming back. Obi-Wan's been one of my favorite characters. I'm a Boba Fett guy or whatever, and I still haven't watched Book of Boba Fett because the same thing. I heard that it was just not.
Dude, it left
a lot to be desired. And I've been.
Do you like thinking of him as a badass?
Yeah, and I
well,
understand
then don't.
That's not the case, right?
Not the case.
So I didn't watch that. I haven't watched The Mandalorian. I think that is probably. I mean, Jon Favreau. He's like a fun guy. He does some fun stuff, and he's got a good eye for. He's got a good He's pretty good at making films, right? Or making cinema or whatever. So I can appreciate him doing that shit. And so I intend to one day watch The Mandalorian, probably with my kids once we're caught up, because they still have to watch the originals trilogy. But we got we've been trying to watch the fucking Clone Wars animated series, and then we've got Rebels, and then we've got all this other stuff. And I said, but we're going to make an exception because you've already watched Revenge of the Sith. We can go ahead and watch Obi-Wan, all right? So we decided to watch it together, and I was very excited. I'm like, Obi-Wan's coming back after 20 years. To quote Ewan McGregor, that's fucking Obi-Wan. Like, I was very excited about Obi-Wan coming back. And, and like I said, he was my favorite good guy, right? And in the original trilogy, like, he saved the original, or I'm sorry, not the original trilogy, but him in the prequels, he saved the prequels. Like, even if you talk to the most staunch anti-prequel guy, you're like, well, what do you think about Obi-Wan? And like, oh, fucking Obi-Wan, great. Yeah, Ewan McGregor did an awesome job. He really did a great job in the prequels. So I was excited for him to come back. Thought it was going to be a lot of fun. But I knew, because I knew going into this, that Disney was going to ruin it. And you can understand why. I mean, we've seen all the things that they have ruined since they've taken over. You know, MCU, after they've taken over Star Wars, after they've taken over all this stuff, they're trying to make it all whatever. And I listened to V get upset about or Wanda, right? Or Scarlet Witch, right? And the multiverse of Wanda. I hear him get so angry about that, and I appreciate his anger, and his emotion is valid. However, my idea was to go into Obi-Wan thinking, well, Disney's going to gay it up. Disney is going to turn Obi-Wan into just this line, you know, this side of the line of tranny porn, okay? They're going to do everything that they can to make it more inclusive to people who don't even like Star Wars. But they're going to try.
Oh, I see.
But I am going to go into it thinking, hey, they're going to fuck it up. But my kids and I enjoy Star Wars. We enjoy the prequel trilogy together. My oldest and my youngest love the prequel trilogy. And they loved the you know, my youngest son, Sterling, right? He was like all his life so far. When he was a baby, even, I would just hold him and we would watch the Duel of the Fates fight, and then the Anakin versus Obi-Wan, right? And so that was our thing. And we love the prequel trilogy. I said, you know what? They don't care about that shit. I mean, they're young. They're starting to catch on to some of these things, but they know, like, they have a good head about it. But at the same time, we're just going to enjoy it. Like, you know, just the colors, just the jumping around and the shooting and the lasers and the Star Wars and shit, right? Like, that's what we're going to go into it thinking. And I'm going to go into it understanding that they are going to not deliver a masterpiece. I know that they're going to kill, or like, just like ruin my character or whatever.
Yes.
But I'm okay. I'm prepared for that. It's almost like when you go in, your doctor calls you and he's like, you know, you've had a cancer screening or something, and your doctor calls you and says, Mr. Miller, I need you to come in here. Bring your family, please. You know, like, you know that he's going to give you some bad news, right? So you're like, all right, I'm on my way in. But you know, like, you're heading in and you're like, I know I'm going to get some bad news. I know he's going to give me like 2 weeks to live, but I'm ready for it, right? And so you go in, and then he's like, yeah, you've got cancer. You've got 2 weeks left to live. So I have entered into Obi-Wan, the show.
Obi-Wan the cancer...
Right. You know,
diagnosis.
as if it's like I have 2 weeks left to live.
Okay.
And so, you know, and I'm prepared for them to ruin it, but I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life, right? I'm going to enjoy these last 2 weeks. And so I did. I went into it, and it was, you know, it was fun. It's cute or whatever.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I didn't hate it. And even, like, I went into it objectively, like, and plus, if you go into it objectively, no one can be like, well, you just hated it because you knew they were going to fuck it up. But objectively, I went into it, and I'm like, well, it was all right. I mean, they didn't, like, rewrite the book. They didn't do anything spectacular with it. But, they didn't turn me off of it. But the one problem with the show is, and you're gonna say, well, it's because you're a racist, Tom, right? But it's like, the one problem that I had with the show was the villain.
Obviously.
Now, it's this chick, right? Moses, or whatever her name is. But she's like the villain.
Michelle Nadegiocello.
That's not right. That's not her name. It's Michelle Obama. So it's this black chick, and she plays the villain.
Yes.
And if you don't know this already, there are 3 villains, right, at the start of it, and they're like very alien, right? The Grand Inquisitor. He's like this white, elongated... Well, in the show, he's just got a regular skull. For some reason, he's supposed to have an elongated skull. But he's got, like, just... He's very, like, obviously an alien, white face, red markings on his face and shit, wrinkles and all this. Very alien in appearance. The other guy is the goofball from Doctor Strange, speaking of, who is, like, Doctor Strange's assistant... Hong or Wong, is that his name?
Wong, yeah.
Yeah, it's him, but he's like green, and then he's got this funky hat on or whatever. So very alien again. All these aliens that are part of this Inquisitor, or like the Inquisitors or whatever. And then there's a black girl.
And then there's just a normal looking chick.
A black girl. And you're like, okay, well, so what are they saying here? Like, is she like a Terran type life form, or is she just like alien black girl? Are they saying that black women are kind of like alien? I don't know, but whatever they're trying to say, whatever, those characters no longer matter. It just focuses on her, and her performance is so like lackluster. It's not even like she did a pretty good job in some scenes. From like one scene to the next, she does pretty good, and then like every other scene she kind of phones it in, right? So it's not like she gives this
Yeah.
consistent delivery throughout the whole thing. She phones it in every other scene, and it's, to me, that's like, well, okay, listen, we've got Obi-Wan, 20 years in the making. You've had fans who were just like, the last thing they remember about Obi-Wan is, I have failed you, Anakin. You know, like that Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
and we're just like emotional.
Can I just say, by the way,
Yeah.
just to refer back to that, speaking of things that are annoying in hearing about the quality of writing, let's say, spoilers, everybody. Sorry, spoilers. Anakin and Obi-Wan end up face to face again.
What?
And wait,
Don't do
here's
this.
the thing.
Don't do this.
No, wait, here's the thing. Obi-Wan makes a comment that's something along the lines of like, how did you end up like this? And you just think, well, you chopped all his arms off and left him in a volcano. So that's kind of how, like, and you know that you had to do that because he had already become that. So why would you ask him how? You understand
No,
how
he asked
shitty
him
that is?
why that is, because, or how he ended up like that, because he left him for dead, and he should have been dead, but instead Palpatine, in his ugly disgustingness that he was at that point,
In his sexual white chocolate.
Yeah, purple chocolate. I think he was like
Purple,
purple,
yeah.
right? Or
Yeah,
like
I
gray,
guess that's, yeah.
ashen,
right?
And he pulls Anakin, who should have died there on no, gosh, I don't even remember. Anyways,
Mulholland Drive.
No, that's not right either. He picks him up and takes him off, hauls him off, and then puts him back together as this freak of nature, and then becomes
Right.
Darth Vader, who's like the biggest problem in the
No.
galaxy, right? And then
Yeah.
and then Obi-Wan later is like, how did you end up like this? Reality, I think, what would have been going through Ben at this point, right? Obi-Wan
Right.
Kenobi's head is like, you should be dead and at peace, right? Like, not
Mm-hmm.
as this Frankenstein's monster that you have become. Like,
Right.
whatever. But anyways, go ahead, please.
Well,
continue.
I guess, yeah. So I listen. I don't want to tarnish your experience, so I'm not gonna run through all the things that I heard where I was like, I can't do this, right? But I do want to say to you that Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor's portrayal is what got me to watch all three prequels, in spite of how I felt about them. And yeah, I guess I want to say that all the descriptions I've heard, the only thing I have to, I guess, counter you with is that Obi-Wan has no agency. He does nearly nothing on his own volition or with his own aspirations. He also,
the show, is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He also was exactly what they did to Luke, and it's almost like a dick slap in the face. You haven't watched the sequels.
No.
In the second one,
I don't really and I'll let me preface, or let me lead into what you're about to say. I don't give a fuck
Sure.
about Luke. I don't like Luke. I've never liked Luke. I just haven't. I watched the original trilogy, and I thought of Han Solo as the hero of the original trilogy.
Mhm.
Luke Skywalker was just like the punk kid that they were like he was the tag along, right?
well, that's fine, and that might be. However, he did become the Jedi Master and had the focal point relationship with Darth Vader,
Which is
so
unfortunate.
it's a major portion of the story. Even if you relate it to, that's fine.
My
I'm
opinion
just saying,
of Star Wars is more important than anyone else's. So I'm that guy.
So the point I'm trying to make is in the middle, in The Last Jedi, Luke was essentially a broken man who had quote unquote shut himself off from the Force, and it was because he was a failed teacher, and led to lots of death and error and so forth. And he had given up.
Who was his Padawan? Who was he supposed to be teaching?
Well, he took on Kylo Ren because that was his sister's son.
Oh, okay.
And
That makes sense then.
Yeah, and a bunch of other people. A bunch of other kids.
Sure.
And he murdered.
You know what? It's a shame that
younglings.
Anakin wasn't around for that. Because we know how Anakin treats the younglings.
Well, no, it's actually funny that you mentioned that because he murdered all of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Oh, Luke did?
No. I'm sorry. What he actually one of the big things is that the reason why okay, so they wanted to try to complicate the evil in Kylo Ren, right? They wanted to make a conflict. Mm-hmm. And so how did they do that? Luke sensed evil in him. And so rather than do what he did with his own father, in trying to turn him and nurture the good out of him and stuff like that, he went to murder his own nephew in his sleep.
Oh yeah. I've heard about this.
And then his nephew woke up while he was dropping the saber, going, "Oh my God, what have I done?" As if Luke Skywalker would ever do something like that. And that's when Kylo flipped and fought off his uncle and then murdered every kid that was there, set the whole place on fire, and left Luke to wallow in his own self-pity and hump R2. And that's essentially what it seems like they've done to Obi-Wan, because he was a failure at the end of the third movie. No, and then
here's the thing.
And well, hold on. And then here's all these years later. It's like 8 years later. He turned himself off from the Force. Mm-hmm. He can't actually fight half the 3 episodes that we've gotten because he's a homo, and just sucks. And then they say, by the way, as far as respect to Luke Skywalker, I know you don't care, but as far as the actual most of the fan base / the actual stories go, he's supposed to be able to sit and protect Luke, which means he has to stay in top training shape and be able to, do what he has to do to protect him. And not only does he not do that, but then they whisk him away to protect the real hero, which is Leia, which in these 3 episodes is kind of the baby Yoda of all of this.
No. Is the 3rd episode released yet? I've only watched the first
today.
2.
Yeah, it was Wednesday. Yeah, today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just assumed you had.
No,
that's
okay.
why I said the thing about.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I know that. Like, I know that he gets her or whatever. And I saw some memes about it already because I subscribe to Reddit's prequel memes subreddit.
Oh, gotcha.
They post Obi-Wan memes and shit, and I'm like, where did this come from? How did you guys get this? And, like it was earlier today. I was like, how did you get this hot poop like before it even releases? Was it like the preview or whatever? So now I know that it's released. I'll have to watch it with the boys tomorrow.
Yeah, so Obi-Wan's a bitch.
Oh, stop it, Jerry. You stop it. You take all those things back. No,
I didn't.
Jerry, please. No, here, listen.
I didn't write him that. I'm actually angry having not seen one episode.
So, stop being angry and give my boy Obi-Wan a chance. And I'll tell you this. Here's what happened, okay? Mm-hmm. Here is why, and I would argue, and I don't respect, and I think it's mostly women writing and directing this production.
Dude, they turned all the stormtroopers into women, for fuck's sake.
That's fine.
Did you notice?
I don't really give a shit about stormtroopers either. Because, and we talk about how this new black female villain, a villain of color, right?
Which, by the way,
right? I had that one. I saw that earlier when I typed it to somebody, and I typed in villain of color, and I was like, that is the funniest thing. I was like, I gotta hit Jerry with that, and it was just, I was very fortunate you were drinking from the mug when you did that. But they did that previously with The Force Awakens, right? Wasn't it a black lady who was like the head stormtrooper with the purple?
No. I want to correct you slightly, but we're gonna parcel it out to 2 people. One, it was Captain Phasma, who was the big girl from Game of Thrones. She was the head stormtrooper there. First Order troopers or whatever.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
You don't have to split hairs. clone troopers, stormtroopers, first.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So she was the leader there. Mm. In The Mandalorian, Gus from Breaking Bad is the top tier, nearly Darth Vader level evil guy in that series.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yeah, he was another villain of color. I do remember seeing a picture of him and thinking, "Is this a meme? Did somebody like Photoshop this guy? What's going on here?"
Yeah, so it's actually kind of weird that the heroes of color that they've put into the shows or movies, they've written poorly and or shrunk their influence throughout the series and on the promotional material.
Sure.
But then call villains. Us racists, right?
But then
and then make every one of them villain. Yeah, they make all of them villains.
And here's the thing too, Jerry. This is something I was talking to. Maybe I was talking to you about it, or I was talking to. I don't know who I was talking to about. But I've been reading the Kick-Ass reboot, which I bought the comics as they were coming out because I'm a huge fan of Kick-Ass, the comics and the movies. I really enjoy them. And I collected them for my son, the original ones, Kick-Ass, Hit Girl, Kick-Ass 2, fucking Kick-Ass 3. Like, I have the
Are you going to regret saying that? Like Jim Carrey regretted being in the movie, so he said?
Does he? He actually took on 2 roles when he took on Captain, or Colonel Stars and Stripes, because it was actually Colonel Stars and Captain Stripes, or Lieutenant Stripes, sort of. It's actually 2 characters from the comic book.
Well, no, he said that he was against all the violence and guns
but I don't
and stuff,
about
or
that.
whatever.
I don't care about Jim Carrey. Like, nobody cares
I'm sorry.
About Jim Carrey anymore.
No, it just annoyed the shit out of me. I was like, you didn't know.
I love when Liam Neeson comes out. Yeah,
I love when
Liam Neeson comes out saying he's against guns, but like every movie that he's in is like him shooting
for
guns
20 years.
There's not name a Liam Neeson movie where he's not doing violence, and I challenge you to do that. I
can't name which Woody Allen movie he was in, but he was in Woody Allen films, and he was like a stage actor,
and he was still a shooter. He was still like killing people.
He's still shooting people. Yeah.
So, anyways, but I was reading the reboot of Kick-Ass, and I bought the first several variants of the new Kick-Ass when it rebooted.
Okay.
And I noticed it was like, as I was paging through it, I'm like, this is a black girl wearing the Kick-Ass costume, right? And I was like, that's weird, and I bagged them up or whatever, and I put them away. And then I get home and I'm on Wikipedia. I'm like, what's up with the Kick-Ass reboot? And they pull it up, and Mark Miller's like, well, yeah, we decided to reboot it instead of it being like, a white kid, it's a black woman. Is how we decided to reboot it.
How brave.
Yeah, I was like, stunning and brave, as a matter of fact.
That's only what everybody's doing.
Yeah, and so this is what he did. So then I didn't even read the comics, because that's my rule, is I don't actually read the comics until it comes out on graphic novel. I buy the graphic novel,
gotcha.
And then I have all the comics like still in their package, never been paged through, never been touched, never been exposed to air, right? So I have like a ton of comics that are stashed away, like brand new, untouched, mint condition and shit. And so I'm reading the graphic novel recently, and as I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, let's hear this origin story of this chick, right? Now she's a special ops. Now, if you remember the original Kick-Ass, it's a teenage boy who's like,
he's like a high school kid.
Yeah, he's like a sophomore or a junior. He's a young chap, right? And, he lives in the inner city, and he gets all fucked up, and then he ends up, like, not being able to feel pain, puts on this snorkel, or this scuba suit, right? And then he goes out and he fights crime because he can't feel pain, right? Anyways, he actually gets his ass beat once he's wearing the costume, and then he can no longer feel pain, then he's like, all right, well, now I'm Kick-Ass, right? I can do whatever the fuck I want. So... teenage boy, kind of like Spider-Man, but like way more violent and just a little. It's different, like reinvented Spider-Man for a modern age, and then you've got this reboot, and you kind of like feel for the kid because you're like, oh, it's a couple kids doing whatever, and you're like, you feel for them like a parent, right? Especially now as a parent, like when I watch them in the movies or whatever, I'm like, I feel for them. I'm like, good for them, they're out there doing something. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of these little knuckleheads. But then they're doing more than I'm doing, for God's sakes, right? But then, I read this new one. It's a black woman, a veteran, a staff sergeant who's been in for I don't know how long. But she's part of this. There's an actual elite aviation unit where they fly in helicopters. It's called the Night Stalkers or whatever. But it's basically like the Green Berets, but for aviation. And she's part of that. And she's in Iraq, and she does all this hoorah stuff or whatever. And then she comes back, and she's like, her husband has left her with all this shit. And her first order of business when she gets out of the army, and she's like, I need to do something about money because I can no longer, like, I can't be working these bullshit overnight security jobs or whatever. She's like, I can't handle the hardships of civilian life as a strong, independent black woman. So her first order of business...
I'm imagining that was actually the dialogue, by the way.
It's very close.
Look, I've seen enough of it. I'm absolutely sure it's very close.
She dons the mask, and
how did she get it?
She just buys it on Amazon, the same way that Dave does on original.
Oh,
Kick-Ass. She
okay,
just, buys it's not like Kick-Ass previously existed in this universe. It's like she's creating this character.
Oh, right, because it's a reboot. It's not a sequel. Yeah. Oh,
so
okay.
She buys this. She gets this mask. She dons the mask, and her first order of business and how she's going to do, or how she's going to get by or whatever, is not like, hey, I'm going to go out, right? Like Dave, he's like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do some good for the community, right? I'm going to go out and I'm going to whoop some criminals' asses. I'm sick of people getting pushed around. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to fight these criminals and whatever. And if I get my ass beat, I get my ass beat. So be it. Her first order of business is, I'm going to go rob somebody, right? I'm not even kidding. That's how the first issue went. She's like, I'm going to go rob it was like a strip club or something. And that was her first order of business as Kick-Ass.
Was that out of justice? Like,
no,
is that...
she needed money.
Oh.
So she went and she robbed us.
I was going to say, even then it would be confusing, because then it would be the sex worker is positive angle goes right out the window, because they're also worth being robbed. Like, that's...
She says, no, I gotta rob this place and then she like frames it as like, she's like, I'm gonna do some good for the community by robbing this, because he's apparently like a drug dealer or something, I don't know, but she needed the money.
I'm saying.
She framed it like, hey, I need the money, I can't work these jobs, so I'm gonna go rob this guy because he's worse than I am. Kind of like that attitude of like, not in my backyard, right? You're not gonna be like, we won't have strippers and drug dealers, but I am not above committing robbery and committing acts of violence in order to obtain money, right? And so that's the end of the first issue, and you're introduced to this character. Instead of being introduced to this character of like, I want to do some good and I want to like help the neighborhood, you're introduced to, as a white boy, you're introduced to this black woman veteran from a spec ops unit in the army, with multiple tours, divorced, broken home, right? And she's got like, she's a single mother, of course, because she's a black woman.
Right.
She's now having to rob a stripper or a strip joint to make ends meet. So, and that's her idea of doing good for the community. So anyways, that's how...
For herself, yeah.
And here's the thing. People want to talk shit about, the racists on the internet are saying this about this. And I'm like, well, this is how you, the elites, the content creators, the people who are pushing entertainment onto us, this is how you see black people. Like, how are you going to yell at us for this? But then... So here's what happened. That takes us back to Moses or whatever. I think it's her name. I swear that's her name.
Yes, it is.
It takes us back to her because she got a lot of hate apparently on Twitter. I didn't see any of it, and I feel like I'm pretty tapped into the racist circles on the internet.
Can I give you a little bit?
Well, hold on. Let me say what I'm going to say, and then we'll do that. But my argument is that, like, a lot of the stuff... Yeah, there's going to be people saying racist shit on the internet, but that's just people on the internet. You got to be used to that, right? I'm not excusing it. I would never go up to somebody and accuse them of being a shitty person just because of the color of their skin. I will always... And I speak, from Martin Luther King, directly from his I Have a Dream speech. I judge people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. So if you are a black person and you give a lackluster performance, I'm going to say that you're a shitty actress. If you are a white person and you give a shitty performance or a lackluster performance, I'm going to say that you're a pretty shitty actress, right? That's just how it is. I'm not going... I've never said Denzel Washington, that fucking black guy, he can't act. Like, I've never said that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's not true.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, I've
like,
never
seriously.
said Morgan. I've said that I've not been impressed by Morgan for some of his roles or whatever. I'll be like, I didn't think what was it? Denzel Washington did a great job in that Netflix movie with Jared Leto.
The HBO Max one? Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad. Yeah, really bad. I liked
Jared Leto's performance in that movie. I wasn't crazy about Denzel Washington's. It was okay.
Well, he just woke up like that. You know that.
He was a little slow in that movie, so I'm like, but I didn't dig it. I couldn't get into it. But like his other stuff, I'm like, objectively, I cannot argue that Denzel Washington's a good actor. But this girl, I'm like, I'm like, she gave such a lackluster performance. Her performance, she will be remembered. If this is like what we have to expect for the rest of the season, she will be remembered, if at all, as a less than memorable villain of color in the Star Wars universe. And you would think that Star Wars would have learned their lesson having done this in the past, but clearly they haven't. They keep just casting them in such a way, hoping that things are going to change. And so while I will say there are probably some internet racists, I guarantee there are some internet racists out there who attacked her just for the sake of being racist.
Until social credit comes around, racists can still get DSL. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or whatever. Like,
so, but like, having everybody come out and defend her, like, oh, don't be racist. Ewan McGregor came out. I finally watched his video because I was like, I knew it was going to be some shaming thing, like, don't hate on the people who are in this. I'm an executive producer on this. Blah blah blah. Don't hate on her. She's an excellent actress. Da 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 da. Which may be true. It has yet to be seen, but I haven't seen it in the first 2 episodes. But, you know, I knew it was going to be some, like, shaming thing where he was like, don't be racist, whatever. But I'm like, why does everybody have to come out and defend her when most of us are constructively criticizing her as an actress, saying, well, she didn't do great. Like,
well,
I don't think Wong did a great job either, right? Like, I don't think he did a great job as an alien. Because, you know, there was some, like, very, like, sluggish kind of blocky movements that he was doing. But, like, at the same time, he wasn't the focal point. If you're going to have somebody who, after 20 years, we've been waiting for this being able to see what Obi-Wan's been doing this whole time, right? We want to see what our favorite characters are doing. He's a big character. Everybody loves Obi-Wan. Like, there's not a person out there who's going to say, fuck Obi-Wan, like I did Luke Skywalker. There might be a couple, but, you know, like, nobody's like, oh, I didn't care for that character. I didn't think that Ewan McGregor did a great job.
You know who would say that?
Obi-Wan. Who?
Alec Guinness, probably. He didn't even like being Obi-Wan.
Is he the guy from the original one, or?
Yes, he's the original one.
So, yeah, he might too. But, you know, we've waited 20 years almost for our return of our champion, right? You know, and then you're going to bring about this mediocre, like, dime a dozen black lady to come and be the villain? You know, come on. I don't care if she's black. I don't care if she's Chinese. I don't care if she's Indian. Who cares? If she can deliver as a bad guy, I'll take it. I don't care if it's a guy or a girl or a retarded person who's just days from retirement. You know, as long as they can deliver on that role, I'll be happy. But she didn't. She failed to deliver on that role that she was cast. And that is my problem. But then you have a bunch of people who default to, well, you just don't like her because you're a racist. Which I have to say, well, yeah, I'm racist, but it has nothing to do with why I don't like her in that role. Because so I'll sit here, everybody's a racist, because racism is on a spectrum. I don't care what you say. You're going to be a little racist, at least to what degree you have to decide and determine. But I will say that I'm particularly hard on black people, because I look at data, right? So I am significantly harsher on black people than I am on anybody else. But there are plenty of black people who I respect because I look at the content of their character and I say, that is somebody who, they're breaking the mold. They're breaking away from this stereotype. They're doing something with their life. The same way I would shit on, it's a numbers game, right? Like, based on percentages, it's harsher on black people, right? But I would say there are, like, significant number of white people I would also shit all over because I'm like, well, that's a garbage human being, right? But
there are all kinds of reasons for certain things, right? But, like, one of the things that I have difficulty in, you know, and it's a numbers game. People always try to use numbers for each one of their arguments and stuff, and it's a dirty game to do it. But, like, you know, there are more abject poverty-stricken, like, kind of, you know, down in the dumps, probably retarded white people in this country.
We're arguably being harder on the retards than we are anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. But so the point is that, you know, there's more of us failing than there are of black people in the country entirely.
Yeah.
Or at least it used to be.
Yeah. I would say 13% of the white people are in poverty, right? So I mean,
it's probably more than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, at least, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So to tell you how this all started with the show, before the show even came out, the way the report goes, I think it was Vanity Fair that did something. Anyway, staff at Star Wars had quote unquote pre-warned Moses that there was going to be a significant portion of the Star Wars fandom that are, racist, sexist, homophobic, right? And so then she does this kind of big interview prior to the show coming out, and she didn't know Star Wars lore at all, like to even know that black people were already like cast as character, like minorities are all over Star Wars,
right?
In terms of television shows, voice actors, movies, all that.
Yeah, the clones are people of color.
Yeah, and so she didn't know that, and said that they don't cast. Star Wars doesn't have a history of casting black people, and she said something about the fans being racist, all this sort of stuff. Nasty shit before the show even came out. And then the show came out, and it was either at the time that it came out or just prior, something like that. She made some Instagram post, and as they came out with all this like racist stuff, someone actually took the time on Twitter to screenshot every single response to her major Instagram post at the time that show was coming out or what have you. And it was 500 responses of nothing but positivity and, you go girl and all that kind of stuff. So not to say that there aren't people who, they're basically baiting it now. I wouldn't go saying anything like that. Like, I'd use facts, actually break down acting or whatever, like, the scene, that kind of thing, and say, this is why I think you suck as an actor, or here's where your character sucks because the writers don't know their ass from their cunt, right. Kind of thing, right? So that I would do. I wouldn't go on there just being like, N-word, that's not. But I have to say, when you could tell what a marketing scheme is, right? Because it all started to come out before the show even came out. Why would they start doing that before the show even came out? It's because they knew it was trash.
Right.
So, and let's not forget that they were competing against Top Gun Maverick and Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And if you notice in the Ewan McGregor video, he said initially, thank you to all the Star Wars fans, except you racists,
right.
For making us the #1 series debuting, like the most watched debut
Star
show.
Wars. Oh, I thought it was like the most debuted Star Wars show.
On Disney Plus.
Oh, that's right.
Is what he said. And then if you notice, yeah. And if you notice, not only did he say Disney Plus specifically, but he also did not name numbers like Netflix did for Stranger Things. Stranger Things, they came out and said, thank you for, I don't know how many it was, like 5 billion people, 5 billion Indian people who we all gave Netflix passwords to, who watched Stranger Things 7.
On the bus, on the way to your
on the rape bus.
Serious XM.
Dude, so that's right. So Netflix came out with the numbers. Obi-Wan over there is just like, thanks for making us #1 on a tragically small
yeah. So here's the thing though, like I'll tell you what, most people are torrenting that shit anyways, because like I pop onto the torrent sites and I see like how quickly
I wish I knew how to do that stuff without getting viruses or whatever, because
no, it's so easy. There's you just have, I shouldn't say this because people are going to send me some backdoor shit, but I don't even have like a good virus protector like at all on my computer.
Oh really?
I've had this computer unprotected forever. Like I'm just like running down
Skid Row
without a rubber, and I'm getting
Tom, don't answer your emails, Tom.
No, I don't answer emails, so that may be what I do. But here's the thing, Ewan McGregor, I respect. I don't. Here's the thing: if somebody tells me not to be racist, I respect that as an opinion. Like Ewan McGregor, and I knew as soon as before I even opened it, I ignored it the first time I saw it as I was scrolling through my feed, because I was like, I don't even want to hear this. I know it's going to be some chastising shit about don't be racist or whatever, and that's exactly what it was. But when somebody
he's like, I'm the executive producer, I need to make my money back on this shit. Will you please?
Right. No, and I feel for him because he gives a pretty decent performance, and he certainly gave a great performance in his youth as Obi-Wan in the prequels. But anyways, when he says, hey, come on, like, you're better than this, don't be racist, and that would be a good argument, right? That'd be a good thing to say to a group of people. Like, if you were talking to a group of people who were largely racist, like if you showed up to a KKK rally and you're like, hey guys, come on, let's not be racist, here's why. Like, she put her heart and soul into this, and maybe it's not that great, but I feel like she's a great actress, and we all think that she's a great actress. Like, give her a chance. Come on guys. Like, if you gave like a rally cry like that to a bunch of KKK members, and they that would be like a reasonable audience to say to. But you're talking to an audience who's largely not like hating her for her race, like almost entirely not hating her for her race.
I would honestly believe that the people answering in that way are bots or accounts paid for or run by Disney themselves.
No, I know, and I know that it's all bullshit. And I know that like everything that we hear now is all bullshit, but I get it. And so like when he says, "Hey guys, don't be racist," I'm like, I wasn't, and like I'm notorious for being racist. Like I will say whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want, to whoever I want, at all times, and that's my right. And if somebody wants to slug me in the face, that's fine, because it's not their right to hit me in the face, but I appreciate their desire, their patience, or their
You've told me many times, Tom. You have told me many times, if someone actually takes the time to come and slug you, you will be proud that someone in America is exercising.
Yeah, anything that gets them off their couch, right? No, but like if I say something racist and somebody hits me in the face, I was well within my right to say something racist, because that's covered in the First Amendment. It's been ruled on. Second of all, I understand their emotion. I think that people's emotions are entitled to emotions, and emotions are real. So if somebody slugs me in the face for being racist, I'm still going to, like, if I'm asked if I want to press charges, I will. But at the same time, I will respect them for like, hey man, you punched me in the face because something I said offended you. We could have hashed it out differently, but you woke up this morning and chose violence, and you are entitled to that. You're just not legally entitled to that, right? But so I, as like a flaming flagrant racist, I didn't even go after her for being black. I went after her. I didn't even go after her at all, because I'm like, she's not even worth my time. This is before I realized that there was all this hate on the internet. I watched it and I was like, I'm disappointed in her character. I feel like she could have done. I feel like Obi-Wan deserves better. I mean, we waited 20 fucking years for this, and then they give us this.
I do want to say though, Tom,
I don't know.
I mean this with all due love and respect that we have as friends. You enjoyed the prequels, and therefore, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, your taste level and your ability to tolerate shit is kind of high.
Yeah, so I should be like granted the ability to I should be granted like some credibility, right?
Well, what I'm saying is like, the fact that you were so even-handed is not surprising to me. Like, other people coming out more harshly than you does not surprise me, because they're the same people who hated the prequels, and they're going, wait a minute,
doubly angry.
Yeah, they're doubly angry. Like, if I saw it and I had my own experience other than just watching the reviews and stuff, I'd have more to say on a personal, visceral level, especially as someone who went through the sequels as well, right? Like, I am the type of passionate okay, so I went to my brother's birthday about a month ago, and he was trying to tell me about the quality of Doctor Strange.
Wow.
And I said,
no, well, I was selection.
Oh, I think and so I asked the assembled
Mike accused my he likened my interest in the prequel trilogy to the fact that I have an extra chromosome.
I don't say this. Oh, okay, yeah. J. Coob. See, J. Coob knows what I'm talking about. So anyway, yeah, I just what the hell was I saying?
You went to your brother's thing.
Oh
and
yeah,
he was talking about how.
And I asked the assembled crowd of people, hey, what what was the general consensus? Because I knew what things had been like, and I said, well, there's no way it didn't infect that movie some, right? There were too many commercials where half of it was Wanda, and
I don't even think I saw him in the commercials, and that's why I was like,
really, right? It was like Wong, Wanda, and America Chavez. Oh, and then his love interest, whatever her name was. Anyway, so my brother says, Jerry, I don't even know why I would bother talking to you in depth about this, because you just find everything to be mad about and hate. you just get, he's like, you love all these Marvel movies to the point where you go watch them and you collect the memorabilia and do this, but then when I ask you about them, you tell me how shitty they are. And I'm like, well, you asked me about, Black Panther, Captain Marvel,
So you asked me about the ones that suck anyways.
Yeah, it's like you asked me about the ones that suck, and I tell you, hey, here's the 25 reasons why you just completely ignored how much they suck, and I think it has something to do with your political glasses.
Hey, Jerry, what'd you think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Dude, it's not quite as good as the Eternals or the...
It's awesome. It's like above average, at least.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, not the Eternals. What's that fucking show that was terrible?
Captain Falcon and the Winter Cyborg?
Oh, no. I'm talking before that. Remember, it was like an ABC show. No. It was on like ABC television. It wasn't the Eternals. It was another group. Not New Mutant. Oh, fuck. Why can I not think of this?
Was it a Marvel one?
Yeah, dude. Remember, they had the big dog Lockjaw and...
No. I was thinking like Supergirl or something, or like the Batgirl.
Why can I not?
Remember when the WB did all the
Supergirl,
and it was like absurd. It was like worse than Watchmen, the show.
Absurdly amazing, I think is what you were saying. I heard.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I heard you say it was so amazing.
I misspoke.
Pretty sure is what I heard you say. Shit. I'm trying to find it now. Oh man.
But anyways, listen up.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat.
Say hi to everybody in the chat, because I want to try to.
Mike, so all the people in the chat, thank you for joining us as we rant about like our last couple weeks or whatever. Efren Flores says, "Stop watching new stuff. Just watch Night Court instead."
Inhumans.
Inhumans. Yeah. I never watched that show. I don't watch. You got to understand this about me, Jerry. I don't watch TV ever. Like I don't ever. The only TV I watch is on like Travel Channel, right? It's all the ghost shows like My Haunted House or Fear These Woods or that's all I watch, and then I turn it off as soon as Kindred Spirits, because it's got a gay guy on the team, and then I turn it off if it's Osborne's We Want to Believe, because that's just a show that they had to do to fulfill their contract. And then also the other show was like Portals to Hell, which is like they had the Osborne kid or whatever. I think they made like an agreement where they're like, well, if you join this fucking girl who, like, because like the other dude bailed because the show sucks, like if you join, we'll go ahead and count that as one of your shows or whatever. But like, and then all she does is talk about Portals to Hell. And as I watch the commercial for the new season, she's like, so tell me, was it a portal? And like, if there's one thing that pisses me off about like Paranormal Activity stuff, is like they think that everything is a fucking portal, and like, is it a portal to hell? And so like, whenever she's like, so tell me, is it a portal? I think of Rick Sanchez when he, as if I need to say Rick Sanchez, but like Rick when he goes, when the Moon Man, like the gas is singing a song, it's Jermaine Clement, and he's singing a song about Moon Man, and Rick says, shut the fuck up about fucking Moon Men. This is a mission right now, and we're trying to be cool and stealthy. So whenever she says, was it a portal? I'm always like, shut the fuck up about fucking portals. We're doing a thing here. And it's so frustrating, like, because she comes from like a long line of shows that have not succeeded and that keep getting canceled.
I wonder who she's fucking to keep getting an option.
Who knows? I don't want to know. But anyways, let's say hi in the chat. I don't remember where I was going, but that's all I watch is those shows. Is like, and I'll turn it off when it gets to the ones that or Ghost Brothers because it's all black guys, right? And I'm a racist. So they're not even on there anymore. They don't do that. There's like Fright Channel, which is the Ghost Brothers and the Osborne. He's on like most of the shows now. The boy Osborne. I don't remember his name. All right, welcome to the chat. Mike in Manitoba, Jacob, Mark Davis, Megabit, Stephicus, Efren Flores, the King of Jordan, Ben. And then also we have Mosley Wave joined us just now. I didn't write him down. I have to make sure I do because I keep attendance. I keep a record of who attends. And then also Ben, Supervan, and the FBI guy in the chat. I will say I sent something to Stephicus. Oh, and then Don's here. Don's here as well.
Cool.
I sent something to Stephicus today. I try not to send her stuff because I'm always like, I always feel bad. I don't like to send her stuff like when Megabit's not in the chat also. But there was, have you seen that? It says POV, so point of view. Girl, you can't just keep flirting with me just to keep getting closer to my mom. And then it says me, and then it has the colon, and then it's got Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, and he's like, "Why not, you stupid bastard?" So, I said that to her because that's always with the mom jokes with Stephicus. And then also, welcome to the chat, Critter Me Timbers. Everybody's like showing up out of nowhere because they're like, "Oh, I need to make sure that I get my shout out." So yeah,
and your attendance, Yeah,
Critter Me Timbers.
Tom keeps the list for a reason.
She sent me a meme earlier about like what's the pocket on the women's panties for, and it's to keep keep tater tots in to keep them nice and warm and moist. So, and I do want to make sure we mention everybody by name because this is like recorded in the annals of history. Look at Stephicus making the angry faces or the sad faces in there. Anyways, what are we cheersing to, Jerry? The premiere of Obi-Wan and the extreme success of the villain of color, Reva.
Well, Tom, I'm gonna say this. I, for one, want to cheers the Disney Corporation for standing up against racism.
Moving on. End it there. And gay sex or whatever. And they're super cool about gay sex, especially in the Eastern market. And pushing
gay sex on children. That's right.
In the Eastern market, I referred to it as when you because I really do. I think anybody who hasn't watched it already, check out the Obi-Wan. If you like the original prequels or whatever, and you missed Obi-Wan these last 20 years, I would say give it a try. The villain of color sucks. She leaves a lot to be desired, but watch it and enjoy. The return of Obi-Wan, and maybe some. We know that Obi-Wan makes it through the series. We know that Hayden Christensen comes back, and we know that he makes it through the series. You know what we don't know? We don't know about the whereabouts of this black villain at the end of the series because we know Obi-Wan's in A New Hope. We know Anakin is in A New Hope, right? We never hear of Vera. We never hear of like her character ever again. So presumably she goes the way of most black people under the age of 63, right? Or 53. I'm sorry. She doesn't make it. Jerry. All right, let's do some whoopsies and let's get the heck out of here. We're almost out of time, Jerry.
My goodness. All right, here we go. It has been a minute, right? Okay, Tom. I'm going to mix it.
If we run over.
I'm going to mix it up slightly, I'm going to bring us back to some past subject matter. So we're going to all right, I'm not going to here we go. There we go.
Did the thing.
Okay. Tom. Headline. Police, Maryland high school student arrested for bringing blank to class. What is it, Tom?
Read it to me again, and I'm just going to say the first thing that pops into my head.
Police, Maryland high school student arrested for bringing blank to class.
14 mason jars of horse semen. Class. Is that the answer?
13. No.
It was only 13. It's not You overestimated.
He was arrested for bringing ghost gun parts to class. Tom, do you want to know why it took them so long to find them on him?
Because they were invisible, right?
Because no one could see them.
Yep, I knew it.
All right, that's one. Let me.
They kept falling through their hands when they were counting them.
They
were doing this number. They have like the ghost detective that's with them that like takes them and he hands them over, and then the other guy's trying to hold his hands out. He's like, "All right, 1. All right, 0. 1, 0. 1, 0."
I want to show people that I take this show seriously, and I write notes.
It's funny because when you do that, it turns into a ghost notes. Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
Ghost notes.
So the note says, "Ghost gun dash took till last period because they couldn't see it. LOL."
It checks out.
All right. Yep. So police, we had to bring.
Are making that we're doing some love connection here in the chat.
Oh my goodness! Here we go. Let's do it. Love
connection.
I'm just trying to think of like the last name based on their hand, like Koobman Timbers or something. I don't.
Hoob Timbers. Timber Hoob.
Critter my Coob. That sounds like a whole.
Critter me Jake Hoob. Just share your numbers with each other.
Just say it. Just say it.
Yeah, just come on. If we can make like Jake Hoob. Well, yeah. If they were like a celebrity couple, what would they be? Is that what you're asking?
Oh. Yeah. Like a Kooby Crit. Or their kids would be called Kooby Critters. It's the Critty Kroobers, or I don't know. Okay. Here we go. All right, Tom.
Jake Timbers. It's like just the white
Jake
guy
Timbers.
Jake Timbers. That sounds like somebody who plays basketball, like, and he won like a, he's like the.
Oh, he's like champion. Christian Laettner, right? Like he was great at Duke, but a marginal,
Yeah,
in the middle.
Once you get picked up or whatever, then you kind of like phone it in because you're like, well, now I'm in the fucking NBA or whatever.
I'm already. It's fine. Yeah. Okay, Tom. Here we go.
Cooverham. Cooverham. That's what she said. She said she picked Cooverham. I said Jake Timbers. I still think that's pretty good.
Oh, by the way, Tom, we have a secret message for you.
Uh-oh.
Ask Tom if he wants the software for printing ghost guns. It would be sent. You do?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will. I will speak
I know who
to.
that's from, and tell them I said thank you.
Okay, I will tell them thank you. All right, Tom. Here we go. Another whoopsies. Texas dad. Okay. Accidentally blanks while picking up child from blank.
Oh, I read this one. That's not funny.
What you got?
All right, go ahead and give it to me again, and I'm going to come up with something funny. Because I know the answer is he shoots himself when he's picking up his kid, right? He shoots himself in the leg or some stupid thing.
Yes, you should have held that off until after the funny one.
But give me the funny one. Give me a chance to do the funny one. I'm going to do whatever.
All right, here we go. And then I'm going to do my funny.
Okay.
Because I have a joke. Texas dad accidentally blank while picking up child from blank.
Texas dad accidentally yees his when picking up his haw. He accidentally yees his haw. Is my answer. Is that right?
It turns out you were right the first time. Texas dad accidentally shoots himself in the leg while picking up child from school. Tom, did you know the cops wouldn't let his kid near him for an hour and a half for their safety?
For the kid's safety.
Right, and then the cops tased the child for trying to save his dad from a gunshot wound. Because it was near the school.
Was this in Uvalde, Texas?
This was how did you know that? That's weird. It was
the cops there have a tendency to like stop people from saving their family members from
it's weird. It's actually weird. He said school was over and I was standing there, the only child in the parking lot, while my dad bled out.
He was calling 911 and they kept telling the incident commander, "Hey, his dad's on the phone." Don't let him. Don't let.
They went over to his dad's truck. Are you on the phone while the car is in gear?
That's a ticket. That's a citation.
Excuse me. Roll down your window. Your window is not rolled down enough. All right.
Let's see how many jokes we can make about that event without actually addressing that event.
That's what I was kind of hoping. Anyway.
Might be. I don't know.
I don't even know. Yeah. Okay. Tom, witnesses said Missouri police. Remember, I think, was it also Missouri? No, it was, Kansas City, right? The retard cop, the chromosome cop.
Yeah, she ended up in Missouri, I think is where they caught him.
No. The one who stole the money that we literally pointed out as the chromosome cop, not the not Vicky White. Yeah. Not Vicky White, who took the inmate.
Who was also like a chromosome cop.
Yeah.
All these chromosomes floating around in the police department. What's going on?
I'm telling you.
What are they feeding these cops? Chromosomes. Clearly.
Obviously. It's the new yogurt that Jamie Lee Curtis is pushing. She's like, guys, remember when I said...
What are they putting in these donuts here? Take it back. Take it back. There.
Jizz. All right.
Mostly Wade says they sent a negotiator to chat with the dad. What can we get you? An ambulance.
I need help.
That's all I need. Here's the gun. I'm not even messing with it.
By the way, I love how they said the parent came with a concealed weapon. I'm like, how do you know? It never made it out of his... I mean, he was in the car. No one...
Who knows where that bullet came from?
Dude, if I shot myself in the leg, I'd put it back in my pocket, too. I didn't have it. I don't know.
How did they...
You know?
I would just drive off. I'd get my kid, and they'd be like, hey, are you
tell
Mr. Miller? I'd be like, yes, hurry up.
Dude, I would tell my son to go meet me at the end of the driveway, you know?
Hey, kiddo, I'm going to need you to go ahead and, walk home today. I'm going to drive to the end.
Dad's...
As I'm, like, bleeding out of my femoral artery.
Yeah, you're like, hey, kiddo, listen, why don't you pick up your own food? Pick up some food on the end of the... I just want to tell you I love you. Did I tell you that? I know I was mad at you because you underperformed at that soccer game. But...
As the villain of color on Star Wars.
Oh, all right, Tom. This one's very serious. Witnesses said Missouri police blank. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, blank, unarmed blank 5 times.
Oh, man.
Witnesses said Missouri police blanked an unarmed blank 5 times. What is it? What'd they do?
So the person who has read who reads the news over the last several years in me wants to say Missouri police shot an unarmed black man in whatever is what I would say, just based on like being aware of the news.
Right.
I don't read the news. Truth be told, I'm aware of it though. But I will say, if I had to guess, I would say Missouri police criticized an unarmed black actress for her performance in
her role in Obi-Wan. Yeah,
I would say that's probably the answer. How close?
If you mix the two things you just said, you're just about there. Witnesses said Missouri police shot an unarmed pregnant woman 5 times.
Mostly Wave said tickled an unarmed homeless man.
5 times?
I don't know which one's funnier out of the 3 of them, the real one or mine or his. Probably his.
Well, first of all, I want to I want to say, number one, the cops released a photo where the unarmed pregnant woman had a gun right back at them.
Unarmed.
But Tom, what they also didn't say was that she was shot 5 times in the back, on her back, on her face, on her stomach, on her butt, with a gun. All right, yeah, that wasn't with a gun, with an 8-inch gun. All right.
She you know
Not
what? They were all aiming at the same. They were all
Not
aiming at the same spot.
Tom. Not come.
The cops were terrible at aiming. Yeah, no, I know, I get it. They're all terrible at aiming, but also she's very big. I get it.
Do you remember?
She's a sizable woman.
No. Do you imagine press conference? We did actually shoot at her with our weapons many times, but instead it turned into a gangbang, and we came all over. That's
we fucked a pregnant
where
woman.
We shot at her 5 times.
Terrible. On the ass, the back, the belly. At least they pulled out. You know.
With our ghost cum.
Oh, ghost cum.
Tom.
That's ectoplasm.
That makes me think of the high C ecto cooler drinks I drank so much. It's awful.
So good.
Well, yeah, until now that I think it's cum. Anyway.
They were.
Sheriff. Tom. Mm-hmm. Investigation confirms ritualistic blank allegations in Utah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this happened in Utah? Because I remember reading. I didn't read into it. I saw the title, and I did one of these. I said, "I told you so." It was. I told you so. I knew this was going on, you bastards. And you told me I was crazy. Child sex rituals, right? Is the dash.
Yes. Tom, sheriff, investigation confirms ritualistic child sex abuse, sex trafficking allegations in Utah. But Tom.
Yeah. Tell me what happened in the story, because I didn't read it. I just saw the headline and said,
Tom,
I fucking knew it.
Tom, you know how they say children are really strong.
They're very resilient.
You know how they say that? Like when someone finds out that kids have been abused, or they find out terrible things are happening to children, they go, well, they are resilient.
Yeah.
Well, it's true in this case. Yeah. It's true in this case. These children, they were asked about it.
Don't be a joke about child sex, Jerry.
No, these children were asked about their experience, right? You know, and they actually allowed.
They gave them like 1 to 5 star ratings.
Well, they gave them a quote, you know, a snippet that they could use for the press. The rest of it, of course, was in the the interviews, you know. But
they shine the light on these kids. They shine the light on these kids. Who did this?
Who did this to you?
I knew he was full of shit. Here, have some coffee and a cigarette. It's like an 8-year-old.
So, believe it or not,
what was the
10 out of 10 kids that they asked, 10 out of 10 said, I can't believe this. Even
do it, Jerry.
I can't believe this. Even in Utah, even their ritualistic sex was vanilla.
It was a missionary position. Well, like these child sex predators are having sex in missionary position. How depressing.
Dude, they're wearing the fucking Mormon underwear shit. It's just
they're having sex with kids through a hole in the sheet.
A hole in the sheet. Yeah. That's all I could think of was the Mormon underwear. And
how terrible, Jerry.
10 out of 10 kids. I can't believe it was so vanilla. You put the cuffs on me, and I was like, finally.
There was no foreplay.
No.
Oh, gross, Jerry. Gross.
Can I say, Tom? I have to admit, honestly, it's been a couple weeks, right? You know, we had 2 weeks off, and then we had, you know, Dave, and I was reading through articles and headlines, and I said, and when I came up with that, I said, it must, like, there's something wrong with me, right? Like, I saw that headline, and I thought, oh, that must have been the most vanilla.
Oh, terrible.
The most vanilla rape den that's ever existed.
Afterwards, they had to eat, like, unleavened crackers and shit.
Yeah, dude. You know?
Was it good for you? No, and neither are these crackers. Like, nobody enjoys this.
Was that good for you? No, none of us have enjoyed
Even the
ourselves
rapist
like
was, like,
we were supposed to. Right.
Yeah, even the
Yeah.
rapist was
He's like, was it you or is it me? Or is it these crackers?
I don't
Am I
think this
right?
is- I don't think this is gonna work out. Just
Yeah.
drop them off somewhere.
At the police station, he's like, I honestly deserve to be arrested for my performance.
Underperformed. I couldn't even get up for this kid.
The only performance that was worse that I've ever been a part of was when
on
I was a
Obi-Wan?
cast member on Obi-Wan.
When I start alongside Moses as we were on Obi-Wan. Oh my goodness, poor girl.
Okay. Poor woman.
Oh,
Unreal. Jeez.
poor Jerry.
This
Let
unabashed.
me do some of my jokes because I want to delete these off my
No,
phone.
I have one more.
Hold on, let me do mine and then
Oh, okay.
go
Alright,
ahead. But then
Sure?
we'll do mine. Okay, we'll go over a
Okay.
little bit maybe, but I
This
do
one's
want to
quick.
get
This
these
one's
off
quick.
my phone so I don't have to worry about them anymore because I'll forget, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. So this one's quick, but it's funny.
So it's
Without-
it's like
I'm saying
Sex
the
in
headline
Utah.
itself.
It's like Sex
Yeah.
in Utah.
Okay, here we go. Man admits to murdering chiropractor who couldn't fix his blank.
Erectile dysfunction. Final answer.
Okay. Man admits to murdering chiropractor who couldn't fix his chronic jaw pain by beating him to death in the head and jaw. Tom, I don't want to play a Monday morning quarterback, but why didn't the chiropractor just tell his... Why didn't he just tell his client, stop sucking all that dick?
I was gonna say, Jerry. Why did the chiropractor tell him that chiropractic care isn't real? But I go to a chiropractor, so I'm the sucker, right? But like,
Yeah.
but also like, there's a lot of people, you know. That's. Why didn't you just tell him it wasn't real? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
He's
a
just
phony.
like-
I'm a
he's like-
phony. I went to 4 weekends of school for this, and
I paid for the board thing already.
I got Rand Paul's dad to sign off on this.
I rented out this office. No, he was just like, Joe, stop sucking all this dick. And he's like, how
Take
I
some
have to
muscle
show you.
relaxers, right?
Tom, I have to show you this. Okay. This is, you tell me who's who. Which one is the guy who's dead and which one is the guy who killed him? Ready?
All right. I think I can do this.
All right.
This is a blank. All right. Was he still mad when the picture was taken?
Dude, if you could file this under like least charitable photos, I mean.
So like, here's my question, Jerry. Right, like,
Yeah.
was he still mad that the dude couldn't cure? So there's two things, right? Was he still mad that the chiropractor on the left, I presume, right, couldn't cure his jaw pain when this
Right.
picture was taken, or was this picture
Uh-huh.
taken after the chiropractor on the left told him to stop sucking so many dicks?
Well, see, no, Tom, this
who
is
knows?
actually a third option. This guy had this picture. This is his mugshot, right? And
Well,
when
I
they
know.
asked him, but they asked him, hey, what are you in for? And they told him, right? And you know what the photographer said?
What?
Why didn't you just stop sucking all that dick?
No, you know what he said, Jerry.
Well,
I'll tell you
oh,
what.
chiropractors aren't real.
The
or
booking
whatever.
officer, the booking deputy jailer, who is morbidly obese, right? He said, hey, he's like, what's you know, he said, what are you in for? Like, what's going on? Let me see the citation. What do you got? And then he says, well, tell me, did you do, like, what happened? You know, and he's just trying to, like, talk to the guy. Because that's what they often do is, like, the morbidly obese booking officer will often just chat with the guy while they take the mug shot. It's not as glam, but, like, the whole time they're sitting there chatting, right? So it's not, like, as grandiose as, like, turn to your left, and it has like the like the old timey like light blasting or whatever. So they sit there and they just chat for the whole time while they're like waiting for screens to load and shit like that. And they're like, all right, turn to your left, blah 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 blah
right.
blah blah blah. All right, turn to your right, blah 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 blah. And they just chat or whatever. So he's like, so what are you in for? And then of course the dude's like, he's like, all right, turn to your left. He's like, what are you in for? All right, turn to your right. So what was that? And then he says, all right, face forward. What's with your jaw? Why can't you talk to me? Because the chiropractor couldn't fix his jaw, right? Because chiropractor it isn't real. All right, I feel like we made that very clear. What?
Did you know this though? What the guy actually said. I've been making jokes. It's
You've
unfair.
Been keeping track.
Well, I knew what the real story was, but you got to come up with your own spin, right? So the guy said to him, dude. So the guy's doing the mugshot, and he goes, hey, didn't I see you on that episode of Obi-Wan with the... And then he just got so pissed. That's the face. He's like, I murdered my own chiropractor.
And now I can't even be taken seriously.
And I can't, yeah. I'm like Jake Lloyd. I'm just remembered for my show, my Star Wars appearance.
All right, we've got 4 minutes, and I'm going to burn through these jokes.
Yeah, you've got your jokes.
All right, I got to do these because I want to get them off my phone. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do them, and I haven't read them. I read this first one, right? Because I'd find out where I was going. So I know what this first one is, and you already know this joke. But then the other ones, I don't know what they are, so I'm going to read them, and then I'm going to explain why I wrote them down. Explain the joke. So, in real time, okay? What do you call it when someone scores 10 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds in wheelchair basketball?
What do you call it, Tom?
A cripple double. Oh, man. I was pretty proud of that joke.
That's good, actually. I very much appreciate that.
Use that one at your next family barbecue. All right, and then we've got... So this is like a character that I guess I was going to start working on. The guy who protests or riots even because his choice in the midterm primaries, judge, executive, or county commissioner didn't win. So, like you've got the people who like riot because their president didn't win or the person that they wanted to be president, right? Like we saw that happen. We've seen that happen over the years, right? But then you've got like the guy who's like so into politics that when he votes in the primary election for his county, his judge executive doesn't win for the primary election. The county commissioner, he's out on the road like, he throws a Molotov cocktail into the county building or whatever. But he's like the only one because like how many times have you ever heard anyone say, fuck, my vote for, or the person I wanted to win county executive didn't win. Like, unless you're like the family member of the guy who was running, like you don't really give a shit. You're like, whatever. We gave it a try.
Oh, could you imagine if dude, could you imagine the lonely Facebook live stream of them waiting for the announcement, like the family, they're just at their house watching TV.
It's 7 of them.
Yeah. It's just,
like everybody.
It's the one elderly parent who's still alive. I wish your so-and-so was still here to see this. And then
I wish your Meemaw was still here.
Yeah, I wish your Meemaw was still here. Thank God your wife has a knife ass, though. Dad. Good.
What's with your jaw?
We're on camera. Yeah. This would be, if it, thank goodness, I hope you really witness. That way you could finally overcome that appearance on that stupid Star Wars show.
It's her again. Poor girl.
Yeah, it's just her again. Yeah. It's not her. It's actually a side, like a person who was a background, but she's in his house. I was a supporter. Why are you talking shit about
I
funded your entire campaign
with my money that I got from playing the third sister. Oh, and that's her name on the show too, is the third sister, right? Which is like, wow. Again, it's kind of like, you guys wrote this, not me. Like, and you want to call me a racist, which I am.
Dude,
But
sister. Who knew?
Sisters. The third sister.
No, that's
so
the
she's like the
yeah.
sister.
No, that's the sequel to the show. Sister.
Truth be told, I can't wait to see the spin-off of how she became a Inquisitor. Right? From being like a Jedi turned Inquisitor. I would love to see that spin-off. In fact, I may write it. Just to be an asshole. Like, I'll write it and I'll be like, no, I hated your performance in Obi-Wan.
You don't know anything about the leaks, do you? No, by the way, I don't want to stop your jokes.
I don't watch anything about like any of the leaks or shit. I don't watch any of that. I like to
right.
if people spoil shit for me, I won't
tell you.
I get upset. So
you're gonna get mad.
Don't spoil shit for me.
I'm not gonna say anything, but you're gonna get mad.
Oh, I'm sure I will. All right, so what is a quote? Oh, so I was looking on like Instagram. I think you know what? It was like on Instagram. It's this is like the worst game of telephone ever. Because like on Instagram, I follow an account that basically just collects the best of Ask Reddit questions, and it's always like Ask Men anything, and so people will ask whatever fucking nonsense questions. And so one of the questions was, what is a quote that you read in a book that always sticks with you, and the most meaningful quote that you've ever read in a book? And you know, you expect to see some shit like I don't know, like poetry, or you expect some like. You know, Atlas Shrugged, or maybe some like autobiographies of like Kennedy, right? Or you know, who knows?
Dennis Rodman. Like, yeah,
Dennis Rodman. Like, don't ever get a tattoo from somebody who like knowingly has hepatitis, right? You know, like like useful information, right? But no, you know, you expect to see some stuff like that, or maybe like you know, Dickens, right? Emily Dickens, or whatever. You know, you expect that sort of stuff.
I preferred Emily Dicks Out.
Dicks Out for Harambe, right? Well, we are celebrating the death of, or we are mourning the death of Harambe this past weekend on Memorial Day. That's the only death I can't believe you brought that up. Day. I'm sorry.
I told you one thing.
There was one limit to this show. But anyways, you know, there were some reasonable, you know, like me, I could probably like off the top of my head, I could name a couple things that I might, and I wouldn't know the exact quote. I would butcher the quote, but I would be like, hey, this is where you can pull it from, and this is the gist of it. But like, if I were going to submit something to something like that, I would certainly look it up, and I would make sure that I have the proper quote and the attributes or whatever. But somebody, and you guys know how I feel about Stephen King, right? This dude, he said a quote from a Stephen King book. And this is what I wrote at the time, which I thought was probably anything I write down. I think is hilarious when I write it. So like I wrote this, and this dude said a quote from a Stephen King book, and I have to say this: if the most meaningful quote you've ever read in a book comes from a Stephen King book, kill yourself. I start singing the song from Bo Burnham, right? Because like honestly, like he has some very quotable shit, but like. If that's like how you base your life, you know, you need to reevaluate your life, right? Yeah, no, and then I see here in the chat, King of Jordan is saying the Texas school was a fed op, and we're avoiding mentioning that school so that we don't get shut off, because we have been shut off in the past. But and we all agree with you, King of Jordan. We agree with you. Yeah. And then also, here's my last joke. Here's my last observation. It's not really a joke. Well, I guess it's a joke because I made it into one. The guy
you guys ever heard about this? You ever heard of it?
You ever heard about this? With my big ass chin. So there was, I saw on maybe it was LinkedIn, which I occasionally check, but there was a guy with a black guy with a black Band-Aid on his finger, right? And he took a picture of his hand, just like very like, oh, look at my hand. I have this Band-Aid on my hand. Look, and it's the same color as my skin, right?
Oh, that was a big thing for a while there, yeah. Right.
But hear me out, because I did the research. I went ahead and I researched it. The guy with the black Band-Aid and how he had the lack of initiative to invent the black skin tone Band-Aid is exactly the reason why it took 45 years to get a black skin tone Band-Aid. Right? Like, all right, now those numbers are real, right? Because 45 years ago, apparently, was when Band-Aid was created. and so he was like, it took 45 years. His post was like, it took 45 years to get a black skin toned bandage or band-aid or whatever. And I said, well, it's that sort of like lack of initiative that was probably why it took 45 years to create that sort of thing. But I said, I did the research because I'm like, surely there's been like, how hard would it have been for like some guy who was like, I don't know, like I don't know, for instance.
Dude, one person.
In 1998, right?
Sure.
Civil rights, I mean, that whole fight happened in the 60s, 70s. It was still a little rocky, right? But I mean, even in the 80s, like at that point, we were kind of like, okay, well, we're on the heels of it where we're like, well, all right, well, let's give them a shot. And certainly in the 90s, it became like a cultural thing where like people were like very respectful, well, certainly more respectful of black people in the community. And like we were doing our best to try to like, and that's kind of like the height of, Martin, the show, Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We had all these sitcoms popping up with black people. So like in the 90s, it's like, but even prior to that, rap music, hip hop, that's
dude. Bill Cosby was America's dad.
Cosby,
I don't know how
right? Great example. So I mean, we were doing our best. At any point during that period, would have been a great time for somebody to jump out and be like, "Hey, man, we've got this tan or like peach colored Band-Aid. Why don't we go ahead and make one for black people?" Right? We're doing our best with like sitcoms and shit. Nobody did until, according to this guy, 2022, right? But the truth
that's pretty sad.
Truth is, in 1998, when this guy who posted this thing, his quote was something like, "Oh, it took me fucking 40 some years to around this sun in order for me to have a Band-Aid that was the color of my skin." But I'm like, I looked back and I found out in 1998, when this guy was 20 years old, there was something called Ebon-Aid was created, and it was a Band-Aid in the color of...
like Ebony-Aid.
Yeah,
oh,
it was the color of
I thought it was like Ebonics, the way you said it. I was like, what?
I mean, it might as well have been. But, yeah, it was black skin tone Band-Aid, and it came in various shades of black. Not even just like one color of black, like, oh, there's only one black person.
Right, because that would be bad. I mean, if you're a light-skinned black person, then it looks like,
There were multiple shades, and they all had like different... You could like look at them and be like, and surely
different hues.
They were behind the... Sanford and Son, yeah, Stephicus. She showed up with Sanford and Son talking about that. So I mean, we were trying for decades, right? And throughout this period of time, nobody bothered to like hop up and say, "Hey, man, what about a black Band-Aid?" I feel like, I mean, it only. The
funny thing is, I've heard about that complaint before, and I don't care if it was like last year or the year before or the year before that or the year before that, right? Like it just seems like such a simple thing to be like, "Hey, this is a real like." Shouldn't this be a simple solution? Shouldn't there be a simple solution for this? Right.
So, and Jerry, let me ask you this: if you have to understand that your target base is like it's only 13% of the population, right? So, but at the same time, that 13% of the population is actively. It's not like 100% of the population. If somebody handed me a Band-Aid that was like yellow or orange or green, I've had Band-Aids that were all colors of the rainbow, and I didn't really give a shit.
Yeah.
But if you were looking for, so you could hand me any Band-Aid. It doesn't matter. Like, so that 87% of the population, they don't give a shit. But you've got that 13% of the population who is like, man, I want to be represented in the Band-Aid community, right? I want to see myself in that. And that's important to them. And we've heard about this.
Or technically not see myself,
Right? Yeah, that's fine too. And we could have done like a clear Band-Aid, really. Like I could have. There were so many opportunities for a black man to say, "Hey, you know what? Like why don't we make a Band-Aid that's like dark skin, like for people who are dark skinned, And that could have been made back in the 70s. And I don't know what the percent of the population is, but those people were looking for identity, like they were looking for recognition in these environment.
Well, here, I want to throw this out to you, Tom.
I don't know.
Because you're making a great...
Go ahead, please.
Well, I think this is a good point to be made, not only for the people who were inactive in making it happen, or, well, I should say not making it happen, but also when you hear about internet rage, outrage, that kind of thing. I want to point out that this is not the first time I heard about this. This is not the first time. Supposedly it was a major problem, right? I've heard the same thing from women's groups complaining about why feminine products aren't free or cost so much money, or why are women's razors, which by the way have to be contoured and made to last to shave almost an entire body and all the curves and all that kind of stuff that goes with it, as opposed to just a guy's dumb fucking face. And they don't understand why it's like $2 more. So I've heard these issues, right? Oh, something has to change. We need new stuff. We need this. And then nothing happens. And the world didn't stop. Nothing. You understand? I guess what I'm trying to say is it's so like outrage on the internet. Like the world should stop right now. We don't have this thing. We need to fix this easily solvable and to a lot of people minute problem, or not even a problem, but
yeah, like nobody cares about your problem.
Right.
Truth be told.
Yeah, truth be told, no one gives a shit. But you're gonna have a lot of likes and a lot of and it's gonna make it look bigger, and then nothing's gonna happen. Just, I guess that's my point. It's like every time you might see something online and you go, "Oh, is this a real? Is this the thing I have to concern myself?" No. Because it doesn't, you understand,
right?
Like even in the manufactured sense, like the interwoven theme of the Obi-Wan show that we've had all night, about the non-traversy, that's literally just a bunch of corporations trying to play on past track record of, again, also calling everybody racist because their product is shit and they just happen to include more people that aren't white, basically. That's what happens on the internet about everything. And imagine, like, at any point in time when there were riots, when there were protests, when there were all kinds of stuff, never once, like, could you imagine any easier thing to do than be like a female person of color and walk into the Band-Aid offices and just go, "Look, I have a great idea for marketing to show that you're on the right side of history," right? That old phrase. Let's make and they could say, "Oh, a color for every," they could do it on Pride Day, a color for every part of the rainbow, and then you could do a color for every color, a color for everyone, blah, 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 some kind of, and then make all the money they need, period. They could have done it all easily, not that hard.
Don says, how about some I Can't Breathe Band-Aids?
They're actually big enough for your, well.
They're coated with fentanyl. So.
Oh. No. Tom, did you know? No, Tom, did you know? They actually did make a line of I Can't Breathe Band-Aids. Unfortunately, the creator of those Band-Aids was high on numerous drugs and actually was a porn actor who held up a pregnant prostitute once for money. So it turned out they couldn't possibly back a whole product line by a person who's so unscrupulous. Who would ever put someone like that on a pedestal? That's ridiculous.
You know what? Here's the thing, Jerry. Whenever people talk about this sort, like, they're like, "Oh, well, I had this idea for such and such once," and I'm like, "Well, why didn't you make it?"
Oh,
like,
a product, yeah.
They always do that. They're like, "Oh, I had this idea for such and such once, and it just never caught on."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Well, it sounds like a really good idea." And actually, at the time, it sounds like it would have been perfect. I think you would have, like, because there's been some shit since then that has come out that is comparable,
Sure.
right? It sounds to me like you just didn't know what the fuck you were doing, and you probably didn't listen to anybody who was like, "Hey, let me help you." And you're always going to have somebody who's like, "Hey, let me help you. Just give me 10% and whatever. I'll do up all the paperwork. I'll do up everything.
Sure.
I've got all the people." But then you've got people who are so proud that they're like, "Nah, I don't want to fucking give this guy 10% for nothing. For what? Nothing." So
that's the trouble, isn't it? It's the idea that you half-baked and you don't really want to put effort in, because if you did, you wouldn't have told anybody until you had it. Like that part in Office Space where the guy got hit by the car,
conclusions, Matt.
Yeah, the jump to conclusions, Matt, but he didn't tell anybody until it was a product and he had it. Right. And yeah, he was shamed, and everybody was like, that's the worst thing you could ever do, or whatever. But the point is, he went so far as to say, you know what, I took my settlement money and I'm rolling my dream. I'm rolling my dream out. Here's my look, guys, and they're like, you're an idiot. But he followed through.
Yeah.
All the people who just sit around and go, wouldn't it be better if, or something. That's just someone trying to say something to make them look cooler than other people.
Feel better.
Or
bad decisions.
Right. Or, hey, is this gonna get me laid if I look really, like inventive? If am I gonna? Oh, look, you should. What is that? What is that? And then suddenly you're interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My biggest beef is like these dudes. Like, I've had some people come to me and they're like, "Well, I have this idea for such and such." I'm like, "Well, I'm happy to help." Mm-hmm. I'm not doing my business. My bachelor's of business administration is literally collecting dust. Like, I've done nothing with it. It was literally an undergraduate. Which,
well, you don't get a cowl with that, do you, or any kind of cape?
I don't get any kind of fucking nothing with that. But I'm actually graduating this semester. I've got a few more weeks left. I've got 13. I think it's like 13 weeks left, and I'm done with college for a long time. Hopefully. Well, actually, I think I still have to finish my MBA after that, but we'll see. We'll see how much time I have left on my GI Bill. But anyways, like my bachelor's of business administration it's literally collecting dust up there. I'm not doing anything with it. I have this 4 years of knowledge that I accumulated in business. I'm happy to help you, and honestly, I don't really need anything from you. But if you need help, I'm happy to help you in whatever way I can. And I'm like, so somebody came to me on Twitter, and I was talking to somebody on Twitter, and a friend of a friend, I guess, and they were talking about how they wanted to start a sporting goods business in Canada, and they were like, well, this is the only sporting goods place here in Edmonton or whatever. I don't know what it was. But they were like, well, I really want to get into like the snowboarding and the snow stuff and snow. And I'm like, well, it's like the number of months out of the year that you can do snow sports in Canada is pretty high, right? So I'm like, well, here's what I need from you. I said, I'll help you. I'll create a business plan. If you want to take out a loan and you want to start your own small business or whatever business, whatever, for snowboarding and shit like that, I'm happy to help you. I was like, I just need this information. It was very like easy information, like, hey, what's your whatever the equivalent for Canada is, like the zip code or whatever. I was like, get me I need to know that so I can kind of do some research on like the area and see within 100-mile radius like how many places are there, what the prices are for this, that, and the other, what some like suppliers and shit. I'm like, let me do some just like rudimentary kind of research on that sort of stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of background,
and then, and I'll let you know. And I'm like, we can draft up a business plan. We could probably do it this weekend if you really wanted to. They're like, okay. And then I never heard from them ever again. And so I'm like, I wasn't asking for anything. I was just like, hey, I'm just happy to help. And if I gave you this business plan and you just disappeared off the face of the earth, it wouldn't affect me because I would have been like, well, hopefully I helped somebody and whatever.
Right.
But this person just vanished when I was like, hey, I just need this basic information. I don't know anything about you. I just need to know kind of like just where you're at, and I don't need to even know like your address. I don't need this person's address or real name or anything. I was like, I just need to know kind of like the town that you live in and like the area of the town you live in. There's no way I can track you down. You have a very anonymous account. And this person just vanished. And so I think that's the case with a lot of people. They're like, as soon as they're presented with the possibility of success, they panic. And they're just like, well, I don't want to have to do any of this stuff because all of a sudden you're like putting me into a position where I have to actually act. And I wasn't even saying like, hey, if I give you this information, you have to do something with it. I was just saying, hey, I'll give you this information. If you want to present it, I'll tell you how to.
Right.
But you have to go and take the risk. So if you want to do something with it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. It's it'll be like a couple hours of research on my end, but it's on you if you want to pull the trigger. And they just vanished, and I never heard from them ever again. And then I deleted my Twitter, so I have no idea where they. I don't even know where to begin to look for them. But
so you don't even know where they actually like the area they were looking to serve.
I know it was Edmonton, Canada, in not Manitoba. What the heck is that other province to the west of Ontario?
Saskatchewan?
Maybe
is that
I don't
Manitoba.
Know. It may actually be in Manitoba, or Alberta. Anyways, it's Edmonton. It's a major city in Canada. Mike, please, if you're in the chat still, please let me know where Edmonton is, what province it is. But that's where they were, and it's a major city there in that area. So there's a lot of people that you'll count. It's kind of like, I don't know what fucking Houston would be for America. Like if you hear Houston, you're like, oh, it's Texas. So like I'm sure if I say Edmonton, Mike's gonna be like, oh, that's fucking such and such province. But anyways, that's the thing that, and I've had that encounter with I know Vietnam.
No, I only brought it up by the way because I was gonna say you should just look up that area and go like new sports equipment.
It'll be it'll be that. Yeah, he said Alberta.
There we go.
Yeah, it'll be named after me or whatever, and I'm like, oh, what a guy. I offered my services. I didn't even do them. But I offered them, and they named it after me. But yeah,
they have your avatar up on their wall because they don't have your picture.
And I certainly appreciate that. It's like a cartoon version of like the Bigfoot. It's the "You Had Me at Bigfoot" logo or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They stole our logo and copyright or trademarked it or whatever. But yeah, that's man, like that's kind of what blows me away about these people. It's like nobody has the initiative to do shit, and I get it. Like there's some risk involved, but you sit here and you want to shit on Jeff Bezos or you want to shit on Bill Gates and Elon Musk came upon their money from their inheritances and shit. But there are some
wealthy
people who
legitimately
there are certainly some people who take on some risk and then they end up going on being very successful. And a lot of these people, like all of a sudden when they're presented with the prospect, you're like, hey, I think this has some promise, and if this is something that you want to do, I'm willing to help you. I ask nothing from you but like your time. Let's work this out together, and you can have it and whatever.
Quick hand job. It's not hard.
That's fine. That's all I ask. But then there's some people who are like, all I want is 10% of whatever for this amount until we reach this certain agreed upon amount. And then you're like, and some people are like, I don't know, I don't want that. But 10% is fucking nothing. If you believe in yourself and you believe in your idea, then you should have no problem giving 10% because you're not really giving anything to them. That's just profit, right? That's the shit that comes back. So I don't know. But most people they're just not, they don't believe in their own. They don't believe in themselves enough, and that's my biggest problem with people. And I'm the same way. I've never had an idea where I'm like, oh, I truly believe that this is $1 million idea. I've never had an idea where I was so impressed by it, where I was like, yeah, I should invest in this. I should take a risk. But there are some people who are like, no, this is a fucking $1 million idea, and you're like, well, let me help you achieve that. And all I ask in return is 10% of your profits, not of just your profits, 10% until we reach $100,000 or whatever. And then they're like, whoa, hold on now. I don't know if I believe in myself that much that I'm willing to, give you, that's what pisses me off about some of these people is it's like, well, you clearly don't believe in yourself if you're not willing to take upon that risk. And all I ask is, I've invested in myself enough to obtain this education and further my knowledge and understanding and how to do these things. I'm happy to do that for you. And if you want somebody who is educated in that, then by all means, please invest in me 10% up to a certain point, and then we part ways once we reach a certain point, and then it's all yours. I don't know. But then there's some people, they just don't get it. If I had $1 million idea and somebody came to me and said, hey, give me 10% until we reach this agreed upon amount, and then that's it. Yeah, I would absolutely, because that saves me all the headache of having to do all that bullshit that I don't want to do, right?
I can focus back on the idea, I can now make Hitler dildos.
Yeah, I can make my horseshoe dildos. With,
the horseshoe dildo the horseshoe dildo tattoo industry. I was really hoping to open up. I can get right back to it. It's finally I can focus on my art. And Mike
actually says not many mountains near Edmonton, which is probably why that person was like, all of a sudden they were like, well, I have this idea to open a snowboarding shop near or in Edmonton, and then they're like, well,
Right.
there's no fucking mountains in Edmonton.
Yeah, there's
So
nowhere.
like they probably were just like, well, now that he says that, I'm like, well, yeah, I
Well,
appreciate them not wasting my time by saying, yeah, I
mm,
want to open a snowboarding shop in Edmonton or whatever, and then I start researching. I'm like, it's a fucking desert in Edmonton. What are you doing in a 100-mile radius? Nobody's gonna drive 14 hours to go snowboarding. What the fuck's the matter with you?
that's true.
All right.
They would ski there if nothing else.
Well, yeah, with their new snowboards, they can just kind of like fucking shuffle the whole way until they get to the mountain for
Dude.
1,300 miles. All right, Jerry, what do you got to shill, or what do you got to say before we close out for the day?
Yeah, basically it's the same old same. At no thanks or whatever on Telegram. Have to admit that I've been kind of neglecting it. Doing a lot of outside stuff. So if you've joined and you've hit me up or something, I've absolutely been neglecting it for some days. So I'm sorry about that. But I'm usually a bit more attentive. And I'm very happy for us to be back. Last week was a cool little deviation, but I also have to admit, laughing at this bullshit for the last 2.5 hours was really fun, and I'm glad we're back. And thank you to everyone for being here. So,
no doubt, no doubt. Did you notice your little dancing He-Man at the top?
I did.
And that you're a vocal advocate for Amber Heard's poop. Which is,
yes.
Sometimes I wonder if like the whoopies are going to. I have to like create these things before the show, so I have to come up with things that I think might come up in the conversation. And since Amber Heard's poop was
Amber Turds,
yeah. I mean, like since I think the last time we actually sat down and had like a goof about a Tom and Jerry's classic goof about was before the trial started. So yeah, it's nice.
Well, it's gone on for 6 weeks, and we've been gone.
Maybe it just wasn't.
I guess it would be like the
first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it was just well, you know what the other thing is too, Tom? It's clearly something to distract the populace from the oncoming economic collapse. Yeah. You know? It's like, so we're just sending.
What advice do you give to the people who don't already have backyard gardens?
Well, I would stockpile. If you have, I understand people have maybe limited space also, so this may not apply to everybody. However, if you have a limited space, try to do hydroponic and small pot gardening in your apartment. I would also suggest stockpiling gas. There's like, we could be called conspiracy theorist people all we want or whatever, but when JP Morgan Chase comes out and says, yeah, we could totally see $8 a gallon gas before the end of the summer, guess what's coming? I mean, it's already in California. Yeah, it's already in California, and I guess some people have been catching like Instagram pics or whatever of people at gas stations changing the price tickers to include double-digit cost. You know how it's like normally like it's only enough room for 1 digit point something whatever. Now they're adding more because the $10 and Washington State said $10 and all this sort of stuff. We know that there's the diesel shortage, whatnot. So yeah, storable food. I know it sounds awful, and I'm sure it probably generally is compared to real food. However, if things really do go as far south as one would imagine it based on what they're saying, you're not going to want to go to the store and have to fist fight your neighbors for like shucks of corn or whatever. So if you could stay out of that fray and just eat prepared, foods and things like that, probably a good idea. Or buy food now in bulk and be prepared to eat very similar meals for a while. And honestly, if you can start a garden now, you should, because there's a lot of food that, look, depending on where you live, it's not, there's the grand solar minimum to think about where the sun's rays are now. There's like the UV stronger and some of the storms are going to be worse, but overall you're not going to have as hot of a year. The climate's going to be cooler. So it's hard to say exactly. But my point is, a lot of things grow within 60 days. It's 90 days. So even if you had something in seed in the ground, like by this weekend, that still puts you in what, September? Why wouldn't you do it? You know you need it. I talk about it all the time here. You'd have to be that cop who, with his wife, stole $99,000.
Or the cop who brought out Dumbo, the white trash Dumbo.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Vicky White. You'd have to be a Vicky White to not notice that things are going very poorly. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. If you have the ability, stop fucking waiting. There's literally no other thing more. Oh, other than water, I would say to you.
Stockpile water.
Because you could not eat for like weeks or something, whereas like if you don't have water for like a couple of days, you're just dead.
3 days. It's the rule of 3.
Yeah.
Right. 3 minutes without air or without oxygen. 3 days without water. 3 weeks without food.
Right.
And you're
right.
Good.
Yep. And 30 seconds in an elevator
with
Amber
Steve
Heard.
Tyler. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's my suggestion. Don't fuck around. I really have grown to love this community. I know I mostly interact on the show, but I'd be lying if I would be like, fuck, man. Like, we're trying to do this, let's say, while things are really hitting the fan, and then there's just less people in the chat, or, people
it turns out Jay Coob died because he didn't plant a garden.
Right.
We got to make sure that Jay Coob's planting a garden. So, Critter, we need you to take care of our Jay Coob.
Yeah,
Jake
please.
Timbers, Beaver Slayer.
Oh, goodness.
All right, let's wrap it up. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. It's nice to be back after it was almost a month. But I'm back in my early stages of the semester. This is my last semester of school, so we've got a few weeks at least, where I'm going to be full throttle in the show and kind of like putting school on the back burner, which is kind of like how I've been the last 3 years. Glad that we were actually able to get back to some classic Tom and Jerry goof-abouts. Jerry, thank you as always for being my better half on the program. Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, we will turn it over to our better third here.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.